Good morning. It is 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And top of the news this morning, it was a Portuguese national who had studied at Brown University in the early 2000s who has now been found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound inside of a storage unit in New Hampshire. That person is Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, and he is believed to be the person who carried out the mass shooting on Brown University's campus last weekend and the murder of an MIT professor 2 days later on Monday. Now, there's still so much to unpack in this investigation. U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts, Leah Foley, on finding the motive for these killings.
The motive, and we have information of his being in New England throughout 2025. But once we get the information about why he came up here, what drove him to be up here, we will share that with the public.
Now, that man, Neves Valente, lived in the Miami area. Investigators are saying that a custodian of Brown University who may have lived in the basement of one of the campus buildings tipped off police. He told them he spotted Valente days before the shooting in the building and escorted him out. From that tip, police were able to use video to identify the car he was using and then tracked it to the storage unit where he was found and also to MIT. More on all of this today with Dan, of course, in the news, and also after another press briefing with the FBI. There is a deal in place today to keep TikTok up and running in the U.S. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio.
TikTok has officially signed a deal to form a joint venture here in the U.S. Majority ownership will be controlled by a group of investors that includes the software giant Oracle and MGX, an artificial intelligence fund backed by the government of the United Arab Emirates.
That deal is expected to close in January. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
From AB, stocks soared after a cooler than expected inflation report bolstered investor hopes for an interest rate cut in 2026. The S&P 500 in particular, boosted by high earnings from Micron Technology, closed 53 points up. Grocery delivery app Instacart will pay a $60 million fine to settle a case brought by the Federal Trade Commission that claims the company misled thousands of users with false advertising on free delivery and deployed unlawful subscription practices. Instacart denied any allegations of wrongdoing, saying the decision to settle will allow the company to move forward. American Airlines flyers looking to save money by choosing basic economy are about to surrender more than just priority boarding. The company says these fares will no longer earn frequent flyer miles or status points. The company says the decision in part is a routine evaluation to remain competitive in the marketplace. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
And stock futures this morning are on the plus side. We've got Dow futures up 31, NASDAQ futures gaining 108, and the S&P futures up 19 points. That's the latest news. Stick around. We've got your traffic and your weather coming up. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Selling your home can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. There are no showings, no open houses, no stress. Work with the #1 real estate team in the U.S. and close with confidence. Go to markspain.com today.
Hey, this is Pastor Al, and join us on Super Talk 99.7, Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. We're going to look at the news from a biblical perspective.
Well, the roads are looking really good so far this morning. I am not seeing any delays in the area at all. Just a reminder, today is the last day of school for Metro Nashville schools, a bunch of the surrounding area schools as well. So the traffic patterns may be a little different for you today. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Shouldn't really.
5:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. I cannot tell you how glad I am to be back.
No, you're not.
Do you know why I can't tell you how glad I am to be back? Because I'm not. I'm totally kidding. I'm excited. A little weird to come back from vacation on a Friday, but here I am for one day, and then I've got, of course, the weekend, then I'm back for a couple of days next week. Thanks to Brian Wilson for filling in for me, and he is... So let me get this straight. Brian spent the last 4 days on the morning show. Then I had to come back and do Friday because he's got to do 9 to 12 for that Chris Hand character.
Yep.
Is that what's going on? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all good. It's all fine. I'm not complaining. When they said I had to cut my vacation short one day because they were lacking of a fill-in. Okay, it's all fine, well, and good. How was my vacation? Joan, ask me how my vacation was. Then we're going to get down to business.
Okay, Dan, how was your vacation?
It was suck-ass. It was terrible.
Stop. Did you just say that?
I did.
Did you bleep him?
That's allowed. So, I hope. So,
as long as he wasn't referencing an act.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So, I was going to go up north to see my grandson. He got sick. And so I couldn't go. And then I was at home, going to spend some nice time with the little woman. She gets called to Atlanta for 4 days.
Oh.
And then Riker gets the flu.
Oh, so you had to stay home and, yeah.
My entire vacation was spent dealing with a 12-year-old with the flu. And so it was just not...
I'll say a 12-year-old boy, too, because we're worse. We are.
Well, okay, I love Riker with all my heart. He's got a bit of a tude because he's 12. And so you couple that with the flu, and it's just, I cannot tell you how glad I am to be back, even amongst the haters. I'll take the haters on the super text line over a 12-year-old that has the flu any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Was there puking involved in this?
No puking.
Good for you, Dan.
It was a lot of mucus.
Yeah.
It was a lot of mucus and a lot of that. And so, but I think he's finally going back to school today for one day.
As long as you don't have to put a cork in him, they'll recover.
Did not have to put it. There were no corks involved. And by the way, if there were corks involved, it wouldn't be me. Trust me when I say that. Anybody watch any of the Turning Point USA stuff?
No.
Oh, my goodness gracious, Joan. So we got a lot of news to get to. By the way, Matthew Hurt is at Turning Point USA, the big event that they do every single year, and it is going on right now. And so he is in Arizona watching the likes of Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro and Erica Kirk and many other, big-time conservative names, and they're doing what they do at the TPUSA event. And so I've watched some clips. I didn't watch it all, but I've got some clips for you because there's a lot of great things going on. And I love that. And we talked about this. Do you know who was on the big podcast with Mostly Peaceful with Dan and Chris? Matt Murphy joined us. So it's a year-end spectacular. It is over 2 hours long. We taped it yesterday. Holy moly. So if you want to hear some great talk radio with me, Matt, and Chris, check that out. But we talked about how Turning Point USA, with the murder of Charlie Kirk, they have done amazing at being able to expand that brand. And I think that this event has done wonders to, number one, sort of help the help the state of mind of everybody there at Turning Point USA. Of course, as you can imagine, they've been in a funk since the murder of Charlie Kirk. So morale is definitely low, but they've been hard at work spreading the message of Charlie Kirk. Now, and I got some video here. This is Erica Kirk announcing just how much Turning Point USA has been able to grow. Listen.
I want to share with you off this paper. I'm not going to wing it this one because I want all of you guys to absorb the magnitude of these numbers. The number of student requests to get involved since 9/10. 140,000 plus get involved requests have been submitted since 9/10. 140,000. Total number of students involved. This is involved within Turning Point USA. 1 million plus students involved in Turning Point USA.
Now, the reason why this is so important, obviously, is because there's been a lot of talk about how President Trump is beginning to lose the younger vote. I mean, that is just something that everybody's been talking about. I get it. I know. If they can continue down this road, if Turning Point USA can continue down this road of trying to spread the message of conservatism, and I believe that J.D. Vance is a great voice in that, then I think that will bode well for the midterm elections. This actually comes at a really good time. Do you know why this comes at a really good time? The reason why this comes at a really good time was it yesterday, Joan, or the day before, where we found out just how terrible the Democrats are doing as far as the polling goes.
I think I saw that yesterday.
So, so yesterday, and I've got a whole thing on this, but the Democrats, you know how they love to talk about the unpopularity of Donald Trump, right? Oh, the conservatives, the Republicans, Donald Trump, oh, they're doing horribly in the polls and all of this other kind. The Democrats are not circling the drain. The Democrats have circled the drain, gone down the drain, in the sewer, and now into the ocean. That's how far down the Democrats have gone as far as the polling goes. And so the ocean is just dirty with all the Democrats. I mean, that's how far they've gone. And I hit the microphone. I'm very excited this morning, apparently. So I'm going to go through some audio with Harry Enton. But the point is that with Turning Point USA, this conservative organization, and their whole point is to try and recruit and cultivate young conservatives and young Republicans at a time when the Democrats are spiraling out of control. This comes at a very good time.
Current chapter numbers as of December 18th, 2025. 3,082 Club America chapters, 1,432 college chapters. You don't have enough connections. You're not going to do it as of today. And we are starting 50 chapters per day at Turning Point USA. It's amazing.
That is awesome. Erica Kirk. And over the last couple of days, I'm sure you guys covered this, Turning Point USA launches partnerships to Tennessee high schools. This is huge. Did you guys talk about this, Joan? I'm sure you did. I'm sure Chris did. Turning Point USA entering a partnership to bring chapters to high schools.
Yes.
Throughout the state of Tennessee. TPUSA students announcing that the state officially partnered with Club America on Friday, December 12th. State Senator Jack Johnson announcing the partnership alongside Senator Marsha Blackburn and conservative activist and athlete Riley Gaines. So I truly believe, and you were there, Joe, and I don't remember if you were here, Sam, but when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, one of the things that I said was to honor Charlie Kirk, the thing we really have to do is make sure that his message gets out there and his message is not lost or his message doesn't die along with him. Clearly, it is not. And you talk about, I don't know if martyr is the right word to use with Charlie Kirk, but with his death comes an incredible rebirth of his message where it is just exploding all across America. And I think this is great. And I'm going to tell you this too, and this is probably going to be a little controversial, but I think with all of the crap that Candace Owens is throwing out about Turning Point USA, I don't necessarily believe that it's hurting Turning Point USA. Do you? Like, I think that there is certain, like her followers, I'm not going to throw any hate this morning, her followers are listening to her and she's saying what she's saying, whatever. But I just don't see that it's hurting Turning Point USA. Do you think it's hurting Turning Point at all, Joan?
I don't think so at all. No.
I don't think so either. Sam, do you think it's hurting?
No, I think more than anything, what the pressure has kind of been taken off by, Nick Fuentes and the other influencer side of the spectrum at the moment. That it's pivoted away from TPUSA. Candace and Erica having a talk may have mellowed some things out.
Yes.
But
and they both came out and they said, all right, we're going to stop the accusations and the streams, and we're just going to talk about this. But we haven't found out. Again, this happened when I was on vacation. We haven't found out exactly what they spoke about.
For 4 hours.
For 4 hours. 4 hours. Can you imagine that?
Well, kind of.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Fair enough. They have a lot to talk about. And so what I'm hoping is that we find out exactly what was spoken about. But I don't think, and I don't watch Candace Owens, but I have not seen where she has come back with any more of the updates on, the Egyptian planes and all that other kind of stuff. I don't think that there has been anything else since that conversation. I forgot to do traffic. It is 5:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
There is one accident this morning. Now, this is on 24 in the eastbound lanes in Cedar Hill, Tennessee. You've got an accident just before Maxey Road. That's exit 19. There, it looks like it's mile marker 18. Checking on the validity of that accident right now. Otherwise, on the roadways this morning, I am not seeing any delays on 24, on 40, on 65. Things look really good so far this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Am I the only one among us who could not sleep last night?
Yes.
For the love of all that is. That wind that rain.
Yeah. Breaking branches. A couple of trees fell over in Robertson County.
I walked out last night. My inflatables were deflated.
Oh, I bet they were.
Surprised they weren't gone.
See, so here's what I want to know from the little woman. I want to know if Amy deflated them herself after I went to bed, or if they deflated on their own.
Well,
they just gave up.
Does she have a habit of deflating your stuff?
That's none of your business, Joan. She can be very deflating at times.
Okay. Shut up. Well done, Sam.
Let's see here. Mostly sent. By the way, I don't know that is 3 times I've hit the microphone this morning. What has changed?
Do you have flying hands?
Have you noticed that, Joan? I've hit the microphone 3 times.
Yeah.
Have you been on your home mic at all? Your home mic is suspended, right? It's facing down.
Yeah.
I think that's why.
Is that what's going on?
Probably were flailing your arms too much at home.
I am an arms flailer. Mostly sunny and cooler, high of 45 today. Warming up to, it'll get better than this, friends. I promise you, the morning show is I'm a little rusty. It's been 4 days. Let's see.
Seems pent up, more like it.
Warming up to, we were talking about deflating zones. Warming up to a high of 60. Breezes on Saturday, partly cloudy with a high in the low 50s on Sunday. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Anyway, so a couple of things going on today. Yes, Matthew Hurt is going to be joining us. By the way, Super Text line. How recent were those Turning Point USA numbers? This is 7670. I bet the biggest gain was a few days after his death. I wonder how many chapters formed in the last 30 days. Doesn't matter. I mean, whether they came in the last, it's been, 3 months? Has it been 3 months? Yeah, 3 months. All of those applications or inquiries came in, and now it's up to Turning Point USA to figure out how to get those chapters formed. And that is a Herculean process, trying to get all of those chapters formed. But I love here in the state of Tennessee, everybody, including our state lawmakers, banding together to spread the good word of conservatism and the good word of Charlie Kirk. People are talking about Ben Shapiro. And so people are saying that it was a great speech, Ben Shapiro. He did talk about Candace Owens. Do I want to play the Ben Shapiro comments about Candace Owens? Like, do I want to like?
Yes.
Do you want me to do that, Sam? Should I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to wade into that whole thing again because the haters, when I say anything negative about Candace Owens, not that I really care, but good Lord, do they come out. And here's the deal. I love that Candace has backed away, had the big conversation with Erica Kirk. Big expose, by the way, in the Daily Mail. Insiders saying, did you read this, Joan? The reason why Candace Owens is so angry about in going after Turning Point, do you know what some are saying the genesis of all of that is?
Go ahead.
That apparently Candace Owens was not invited to the wedding.
Oh my gosh!
Of Candace
really?
and Erica. That's what somebody of Charlie and Erica. That's what people are saying. I don't know, and they're also upset because she was bounced out of Turning Point USA. I don't know. I don't know any of it. I don't really follow the. I've said this before, and people kind of get mad at me, but I don't really follow the influencers. I don't. I mean, and they're doing their thing. I love Joe Rogan. Just so you know, I love Joe Rogan. But when it comes to all of these other voices, it's just I got enough voices in my head. I don't need any others. I'm just saying. All right, it is 5:22, Nashville's Morning News. All right, so I'll play the Ben Shapiro because he calls out not only Candace Owens, but he also calls out Tucker Carlson. And that was awkward because Tucker was there. Well, we'll talk about all that and more.
Maybe don't platform a white supremacist, Tucker.
Well, Tucker, I guess so. And again, I'm not really paying much attention to what everybody's saying, but apparently Tucker, and I've got that audio too, is talking a lot about Islam and Muslims. And I'll play his comments, and then I'll play Ben Shapiro's comments. People are going after Tucker Carlson big time. I got to hand it to Turning Point USA, though. Knowing how controversial Tucker is and knowing the battle that has been going on between Tucker and Ben Shapiro, they had them both on the same stage. I think that's good. Is that good? I believe that that's good.
Yeah, it shows that we can have a difference of opinion on some major issues and still have a common goal to unite behind.
Hit that bingo with Joe Biden. Go ahead and hit that, Sam. Go ahead right now. There you go. Sam for the win. All right, 5:23. Joan was coming up in the news at 5:30.
Yeah, more info about the suspect in the Brown University shooting. He's been found dead. Also, wait till you hear what the Department of Homeland Security has to say about the tour bus driver who caused a deadly crash in Putnam County last week. Those stories coming up here at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
528, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you being here. And all right, real quick, I want to play this Tucker Carlson audio and video where he was talking about how Americans, and it sounds like he's talking about conservatives, have been going after Muslims. This was at Turning Point USA. Just real quick.
And what you're watching now, attacking millions of Americans because they're Muslims, it's disgusting. And I'm a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I know there's a lot of effort to claim I'm a secret jihadi. I'm not. You should not attack people on those grounds. And you're seeing it from Republicans. What the hell are you doing? What you're doing is trying to divide the country. And I've lived through 50 years of this crap. All these fake race wars that they're always promoting. Oh, go hate each other while we loot the treasury. That's exactly what's going on. And most people are totally sick of that. So, yes, there is a possibility for a huge coalition of decent people once they free their minds from the traps set for them by others and realize, wait a second, we all want to make this country better. And
all right, so has anybody noticed this massive movement amongst, conservatives that is anti-Islam? Now, what I would say, I'll tell you what my official talk show host position has always been. I mean, how many terrorist attacks do we have to live through? I'm not going to be lectured by the likes of Tucker Carlson for pointing out that, by and large, these attacks are by Muslims. That's number one. Number two is that the imams in the mosques and the Muslim community at large, oftentimes they're silent. They don't condemn or decry these kinds of attacks. So I'm not going to say every Muslim, of course not. But I also am smart enough to understand I've noticed a commonality. And when we see these kinds of attacks, guess what? They're Muslim. Here's the other thing. You want to talk about what's going on in Minnesota with the Somalians? Mostly Muslim. And what are they doing? They're ripping off the taxpayers. So again, not every Muslim. I understand that. But at the same time, there are so many people that defend this kind of murderous and aberrant behavior by some Muslims. And I would love to see the Muslim community stand up and say, no more. No more of the murders, no more of the terrorist attacks, no more of the ripping off of the American people. When you come to America, what you should be doing is you should be trying to become Americans and not be what you are in Minnesota, which is essentially making it Somalia in America. You need to actually assimilate, which is something that Muslims and a lot of other cultures as well refuse to do when they come to America. So I think that Tucker, I don't know, with all due respect, I think that he's casting a pretty wide net over conservatives and Republicans, because I don't believe that conservatives or Republicans, all conservatives or all Republicans are saying all Muslims. So he's casting a pretty wide net there. But I will tell you, and I say this with all due respect to Tucker Carlson, I don't need to be lectured by him or anyone else, because I've been watching with my own eyes for years as far as what's going on. It's 5:32. Sorry, Slate. WTN.
Good morning. It is 5:32, and I'm Joan Jones with your top story. Stick around for Stefano's weather forecast right after the news. The suspect in the mass shooting at Brown University has been found dead, having committed suicide inside a storage locker in New Hampshire. Now, that suspect is a Portuguese national who studied at Brown 25 years ago and who also knew the MIT professor who was murdered on Monday. ABC's Aaron Katersky on the trail that led them to the suspect.
They've been able to establish that he rented a hotel room in Boston in late November, rented a car in Boston on December 1st. That vehicle was seen near Brown University just before the shooting there. And that same car with a different license plate was seen near the home of the MIT professor the night he was shot dead.
Now, there's no information on a motive just yet. We'll get more after another press conference later today. There is new information about a crash on I-40 last week that claimed the life of one person and closed down the highway in Putnam County. The tour bus driver that caused the accident has now been charged with vehicular homicide. Here's Channel 4's Alexandria Adams.
Investigators tell us the 54-year-old driver was on his phone at the time when he hit another vehicle, causing that crash involving several other vehicles.
The Department of Homeland Security is saying the 54-year-old tour bus driver who caused the accident is a Chinese national who entered the U.S. illegally from Mexico in 2023. He was released with work papers and a Social Security card under the Biden administration. He was able to get a commercial driver's license in the state of New York despite not being able to read or speak English. Want to stave off dementia? Smear some cream cheese on your morning bagel.
A new study links higher fat cheese and a lower risk of dementia. According to the study, those who consumed about a third of a cup or more of high-fat cheese daily had a lower overall risk of dementia. People who averaged about 1.5 tablespoons of high-fat cream also showed a lower dementia risk. Low-fat dairy showed no clear association. One hypothesis is that cheese is fermented, which produces compounds that may influence inflammation and blood vessels. Experts say further research is needed.
That's ABC's Dave Packer. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Of those of us who try to.
Yeah, it's confirmed. There's an accident on 24, the eastbound lanes in Cedar Hill. You've got it just before Maxey Road, exit 19 this morning. And they're saying that there is one lane blocked. Perhaps it is the right lane. The rest of the roadways coming into Nashville this morning are looking pretty good. Although I am seeing a delay in Murfreesboro on 24 westbound. We'll check that out and try to figure it out. Murfreesboro up to the I-840 area. We'll check that out and bring that to you the next time around. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.539 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As you folks know, I don't know, did you guys do your own personalized Christmas bumpers while I was gone, Joan?
No, we quit that.
No.
Oh, come on, man. Where is the Christmas spirit? All right, so we're doing our own Christmas bumpers here on the morning show, and this is my selection for today. Joan, it's that rapey Christmas song. Remember that a few years ago, the rapey Christmas song?
Yes. The lovely Me Too movement.
In all its glory.
Yes.
I actually love this song.
Me too.
The scene in Elf with it is hilarious.
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
True story. Because we all know that I don't like Christmas music, but in Elf is where I first heard this song. And I loved it. And it's, in my opinion, one of the best parts of the movie, Elf, which, by the way, also one of my favorite Christmas movies as well. So I love this song. And, you know, the funny thing is, it's not rapey. It's just not. I never understood who sings this?
This is Dean Martin.
That's what I thought.
Dean Martin, man, that dude's the king of cool. That's what they used to call him, I think, the king of cool. He was apparently very cool.
He was also usually drunk.
Oh.
A lot of cool people are.
I guess maybe that makes you cool.
Bring it up. I mean, it's just a guy being a guy. I mean, if you listen to these lyrics, I mean, whatever. Anyway, all right, we're done. All right, 541. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. All right, so we're talking about Turning Point USA. And how you had Tucker Carlson, he was on the stage, and I played his audio about how he is accusing conservatives of bashing Muslims, I guess, and hating on Muslims, whatever. So then Ben Shapiro was on, and he called out not only Tucker Carlson, but also Candace Owens. Listen, this is, by the way, the last audio bite that I have from Turning Point USA, 636. Going to speak with Matthew Hurt. He is at Turning Point USA, and I kind of want to know what is going on, behind the scenes there. How are people reacting to Ben Shapiro getting on stage and bashing not only Candace Owens, but also he had something to say about Tucker Carlson. But this is Ben Shapiro. A lot of people online saying that his speech was one of the best.
Coalitions. It's the job of those of us who try to shape public opinion to hold politicians to account and to hold them accountable to our values. We must not let fear of audience deter us from telling the truth. We must not let fear of other hosts deter us from telling the truth.
Wait for it.
So, for example, if Candace Owens decides to spend every day since the murder of Charlie Kirk
I mean, people there obviously loving it that he is going to call out Candace Owens by name. Now, a couple things. Number one, I like that he's doing that. Candace and Ben Shapiro, they have long been mortal enemies ever since she left the Daily Wire. I believe that she got fired from the Daily Wire, whatever. So
She did.
She did.
Yeah.
So do we know why she got fired?
That was always kind of a vague.
People have said that is when she really started going anti-Israel.
Yes.
So
it happened to kind of when Israel invaded Gaza started firing back, standing up for themselves.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mean when Israel was defending itself? Yes. So this is more from Ben Shapiro.
So, if Candace Owens decides to spend every day since the murder of Charlie Kirk casting aspersions at TPUSA and the people who work here, who worked with Charlie every single day, his best friends, to cast aspersions at Mikey McCoy and Andrew Colvin and Blake Neff and Tyler Boyer, and yes, at Erica Kirk, and to imply or outright claim complicity in a cover-up over Charlie's murder, to spew absolutely baseless trash implicating everyone from French intelligence to Mossad to members of TPUSA in Charlie's murder or a cover-up in that murder, then we, as people with a microphone, have a moral obligation to call that out by name.
You know, it's interesting he didn't bring up Brigitte Macron's penis. Because that was another big thing that
Alleged
she kept
penis
talking about. Listen, I just report the news, Joan.
Yeah.
And that's what she was saying.
And it was never confirmed if it was a big thing to be talking about.
Mm.
Do you know the lawsuits that Candace Owens is facing? I believe, you know, my prediction is that she is going to ultimately be led to financial ruin because of all of the lawsuits that she is facing. That's just my prediction.
Erica Kirk and TPUSA never should have been put in the position to have to defend themselves against such specious and evil attacks, particularly in a time of mourning.
He's right. I mean, he's right.
And the people who refuse to condemn Candace's truly vicious attacks, and some of them are speaking here, are guilty of cowardice. Yes, cowardice. The fact that they have said nothing while Candace has been vomiting all sorts of hideous and conspiratorial nonsense into the public square for years is just as cowardly.
So there you go. That's Ben Shapiro. It didn't hold back, and it was clear that the Turning Point USA crowd was all about it and wanting Candace Owens to be called out by name. And that's part of what Shapiro has been saying is, listen, if she's going to do what she's doing, then she is going to get called out. And Turning Point USA and people who have differing views are also allowed to call her out, especially when, and I don't want to belabor the point because it's been belabored enough, but she's still not bringing anything specific. However, I love that Erica Kirk and Candace Owens, they met 4 hours, a lot of conversation, and everyone is now putting down their guns, so to speak, and keeping their powder dry, as they say. And they're just going to, I guess, I don't know what the end result of that whole thing is. Is there something that we're all waiting for as far as the meeting between Candace Owens and Erica Kirk? I mean, it just sounds like they're just putting it to bed. Is that right? Or is there some sort of a thing that's supposed to happen at some point? Do we know?
I've seen and heard nothing.
What about you, Joan? Have you seen or heard anything as far as what the next step is in that very tumultuous relationship?
No, I have not.
Yeah. Which is probably for the best, actually. Well, just to let this whole thing just go to bed.
Which I would, in my experience in teachings of things, when something like that comes up, especially in media, and then we're not going to have any kind of further conversation about it, that means lawsuits were discussed.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, I believe that whether it is Brigitte Macron or, you know, people that she is complicit is the word that she has used, I believe. Candace Owens, the word that she has used is complicit when it comes to Turning Point USA and the death of Charlie Kirk. And I think that you're probably right. They probably did start talking about lawsuits because I think that what she has been saying, and she's been calling out specific names, defamatory. If I really wanted to go down this road, I could play, and I'm not going to because I've spent too much time on it already, because there's a lot of really important stuff that I want to get to today. But find, and I'll post it, follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show. Did you see the Piers Morgan questioning of Candace Owens? I think this was last night or the night before.
Oh, and he said, who?
he drilled into exactly what it is that she has been saying. And so I'll go ahead and post that to my X feed. Follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show. It is 5:49. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm not really surprised that the Democrats have suddenly, and I've got some great audio from a couple of different sources talking about how the Democrats, they just absolutely are cratering the Democrats in the Congress. So we're going to talk about that with the polling. I want to retrace a little bit. I know that this is a day-old news, but what did you think, Joan and Sam, of President Trump's speech the other night? 2 nights ago.
Phenomenal.
See, that's my thing. I thought that it was a good speech. I'm going to go ahead, Joan.
I'm with you. I thought it was a good speech.
Okay. Now, I read the comments and I read all of the articles on his speech. Then I listened to the speech. The speech that the media, the mainstream media, talked about didn't exist. Like, they said that Donald Trump was angry. They said that Donald Trump was defensive. They said that Donald Trump was squinting at the teleprompter. I didn't see any of that.
And that he was yelling.
Yeah. I didn't hear any yelling.
No.
I think they mistake that for passion, which is what they call it when they scream that we're a bunch of racists.
Whatever. I mean, here's the thing, though. Clearly what Donald Trump was doing was he was setting the table heading into 2026 and the midterm elections. This is where we are. This is where we got it from. This is where we are. And this is where we're going, right? And so he's setting the table for the campaign into the midterm elections. I thought that it was absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure everybody else has said this, so I don't want to go into this too much. But I think the fact that he set the table with making it seem like he was going to talk about going into Venezuela. And then, so the media covered it with, breathless abandon. And then he goes in with ultimately what was a campaign speech for him, a campaign speech for the Republicans, and an attack on the Democrats. I thought it was brilliant. And then the very next day, as you no doubt covered, Joan, the inflation numbers, the numbers from yesterday. Oh my goodness gracious!
Amazing.
It was like it's like he knew. It's like divine intervention. Trump has this speech on how the economy is doing better and it's going to get even better into the new year as we have the big beautiful bill that is going to really take effect in 2026. And lo and behold, then we get the inflation numbers that looked far better than anybody thought. And I think that, I look back on what I said on, I think, maybe a week ago, Friday, before my vacation, I think, where I said that we are, as conservatives, we are hitting the ground running in 2026. The Democrats are sucking wind. Inflation numbers are looking better than we thought. And we've got a lot of positives going into 2026. And I don't know why people always scoff at me when I say I think that we're looking really good heading into 2026. Am I worried? Absolutely. Could it not go our way? Absolutely. We'll have to wait and see ultimately where it goes. And, we have to see what happens with the gerrymandering and all that kind of stuff. But I think that we've got the wind in our sails right now. And I am feeling very positive. I don't want to go backwards, but I think the president made a big mistake. And I don't know, I'm sure you guys talked about it. I think the president made a big mistake when he made the comments about Rob Reiner and his murder.
I do not.
You don't think that was a big...
I do not.
All right, so...
Rob Reiner had everything terrible to say about President Trump. He had everything terrible to say about Rush Limbaugh after his death. I do not.
And Trump opened it with, "It's sad." So he did, give it some grace, and then proceeded to defend himself.
So here's why I think it was a mistake. Number one, 2 wrongs don't make a right. That's number one. I think that you're right, Joan. And I think I said this. I forget who was it that died. But I said the same thing a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago when somebody died. I forget who it was. But just because somebody dies, all of the nasty, vitriolic things that they say don't die with them. They just don't. That is part of that person's legacy, and we are allowed to comment on their legacy because that is what they chose to say when they were alive, right? And I support Donald Trump's, he certainly has his right to say it, but I think that when you are battling for independence and you are in the midst of a very contentious heading into the midterm elections, I just don't think that you want to give your enemy any ammunition. And I thought that it was ill-advised from a humanitarian standpoint and from a political standpoint. Now, there's going to be a lot of people, including Joan, that are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. Did I like Rob Reiner? No. He said some god-awful things. I don't know what he said about Rush Limbaugh, but it wouldn't surprise me. He said some god-awful things about Donald Trump. He said some god-awful things about Donald Trump's supporters, right? But when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he had, I don't know if he had nice things to say about Charlie Kirk, but he condemned the way that he died, and he condemned the assassination. But all that aside, I think that, again, we are in a battle for the hearts and minds of Americans, particularly those that are more independent-minded. So I don't think that you want to give your enemy any reason to come after you. I just thought that it was a bad look all the way around, politically, strategically, and from a humanitarian standpoint. Go ahead, Sam. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, and when Brian and I talked about it the other day, it was he shouldn't have done it. I'm not going to condemn him for it, but I personally would have kind of taken the road of, if you want to kind of measure the mark of a man, especially one in the public eye, look at how his sons behave. Look at how he raises his sons.
Yeah.
Neither of Donald Trump's sons have ever been under fire for anything, but Hunter Biden and now allegedly Nick Reiner. You just judge the man by that.
Nick Reiner, that was a troubled individual. He is a troubled individual. And just talking about the lead up to what happened and how they were at Conan O'Brien's party, he's running around. They've been trying to handle his drug addiction for a long time. He'd been in rehab, 17 times? So it's one of those things where it is, you hate to see that kind of a situation where a man is murdered by his own son. It's a horrible situation all the way around. So anyway, but the final thing I'll say on this, and I can see from the super text line, people are disagreeing with me. That's fine. The thing is, Donald Trump once said that the Republicans are terrible at messaging. If you're trying to, this is the last thing I'm going to say, if you're trying to talk up the economy, if you're trying to talk up your wins, this was a big distraction when you are trying to talk about your wins and then you say what you said about the murder of Rob Reiner. From a strategic standpoint alone, I thought that it was a bad move. 5:57, Joan's got the news at 6. Joan.
Yeah, coming up here, Australia is about to do something in the wake of last weekend's Islamic terror attack. We'll tell you what's going on there. Also, the story about the crash in North Carolina of an airplane belonging to a former NASCAR driver. Those stories coming up here at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning. It is now 6:01. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The NTSB has launched a team of investigators to the scene of a small crash, a plane crash in North Carolina that took the lives of NASCAR great Greg Biffle and his family. This happened at the Statesville Regional Airport not long after takeoff.
44-year-old in the air less than 10 minutes after taking off from Statesville Regional Airport, according to Flight Radar 24. The pilot attempting to return to the airport when it crashed just short of the runway, smashing through the trees, slamming through the airport fence, carving a deep gash hundreds of feet long. Witnesses horrified.
When I walked over there, you could actually see the flames, and I mean, it was huge. Huge.
The mangled wreckage seen burning near the runway.
That's ABC's Victor Akendo. Biffle was reported as being an unsung hero after Hurricane Helene, flying for days in to help others who had been stuck in remote areas using his private airplane. Australia is still reeling from the Islamic terror attack on a Jewish festival where 15 people were killed. Now Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is going after everyone else's guns.
The government will establish a national gun buyback scheme to purchase surplus, newly banned and illegal firearms, the largest buyback since the Howard government initiated one in 1996.
Australia's government's also considering limits on the number of weapons allowed per person. President Trump has gotten under the skin of Democrats once again, this time of the board, after the board of the Kennedy Center voted unanimously to change the name to Trump Kennedy Center. Here's Democrat Congresswoman Shelley Pingree from Maine.
If he tries to put up his gilded letters and call it the Trump Center, we've been up there to paint it over because he cannot do this.
Democrats claim the name can only be changed by an act of Congress. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
The S&P 500 broke a four-day losing streak Thursday, picking up just over 0.5% on the day. The Nasdaq Composite surged nearly 1.4%, while the Dow Jones gained 66 points, but still closed below 48,000. The House early next year may take up legislation to ban members of Congress from owning or trading individual stocks. The Labor Department's Consumer Price Index had inflation running at 2.7% last month. That's down from September's 3% rate. TikTok finally has a plan to keep operating in the United States. The new deal includes Oracle, which will store the data of users in the U.S. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Right now, stock futures mixed. The Dow futures down 9, but the Nasdaq futures up 83. S&P futures gaining 13. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, so on 24, the westbound side this morning, yes, it's confirmed that is an accident. It's 24 westbound at Medical Center Parkway in Murfreesboro. I saw a left lane blocked off. There was at least one truck facing the guardrail in that area this morning. That could be there for quite a while. Got an accident as well on 24 in the eastbound lanes. This is in Cedar Hill. It's before Maxey Road. One lane is blocked there as well. And a crash in Portland. It's on North Broadway at Woods Road. Now in Hadley Park, 28th Avenue North at Albion Street and at Rivergate. A crash on Gallatin Pike North at Maya Drive. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.606 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Do you know what's surprising? Joan, we're talking about the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you know who's paying for his highfalutin, high-powered attorney?
I think his parents are they not?
Yes.
Yeah, it is bizarre.
The parents' will,
yeah,
the trust or whatever it is. Can you imagine that? So he murders his parents, and then the money coming from the estate is paying for his attorneys. That is crazy.
Bizarre. It's bizarre.
Man
and can you
alive.
imagine being, I just think of the other kids.
The daughter and the son. The son is
and
reporter.
Penny Marshall's daughter, right?
Yeah. Because Rob Reiner adopted Penny Marshall's daughter. There is a son in Texas who is some sort of a reporter.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is the
one who
daughter that lives across the street.
Across the street.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being them, knowing that their parents were murdered?
Yeah.
And they're still paying for their brother's defense.
It's
what
crazy.
A mess. What a mess.
Sam and I we weren't joking about it, but it's sort of like, okay, but if there's nothing in the will that says, hey, by the way, if Nick murders our parents, he doesn't get anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't put that in the will.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's no latest on that. I think the latest is the official autopsy came out and they died from stab wounds and the whole thing. So I don't know. Is there anything new on that? I think we're all just sort of.
He would. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't want to take it from you, but their throats were slit in their sleep. And Alan Jackson, who recently represented Karen Reed in a murder case, has been hired as the attorney. His press conference was so poignantly done. He tried to remind everybody about the process and have some decorum about the matter. So it'll be very interesting. Definitely hiring him says that Nick's going to take this all the way to trial.
Well, so the thing is that they're also releasing information. So this attorney has made sure to ask the judge to delay. So they've delayed his arraignment until January. He said that, it's too early for him to take a plea. And he's also been making sure that the information is released in the press that shows him sort of meandering around in a gas station afterwards. So kind of setting him up to make that case that he's insane.
Yeah, I think the only defense that this guy would have is the insanity defense, because they found blood in his hotel room shower. They found a trail of blood, there in his hotel room as well. The sister said that her brother was dangerous. The party where he's walking around and he's asking people if they're famous and interrupting conversations to the point where he was asked to leave. The history, the very violent history that this guy had, and there's stories out there that the Reiners, they were terrified of their son.
Yes.
They wanted him out. He kept destroying the guest room. So I think that
Yeah, that's why. I mean, they wouldn't let him live in the house. He had to
Right.
live in the gatehouse in the back.
yeah, the guest house. That's exactly right, John. So
Well, and I would go just a skosh further and hedge my bet that it's going to be similar to Menendez brothers as far as now. There's not going to be any history that we know of, obviously publicly, of what happened in the Reiner household. But if that's going to be the claim of a son murdering his parents, the president was sent in the 80s with those two.
yeah, remember the Menendez? What they said was there is some Abuse, yes. And I don't know if that's ever been accused in the Reiner case. I've never seen that.
Yeah,
I've never seen that accusation made.
But in a defense trial where your witnesses to counteract what you're going to say are dead.
Yeah. What I would say, if I were just watching this from afar, I would say, okay, if that was the case, if I'm the prosecutor, then why didn't that come up in your, no doubt, hundreds of therapy sessions as you were going through your drug rehab, which he, again, went through some 17 times. All right, let's move on. We do have the Brown University shooting that happened over the over the weekend, right? On Saturday, I think
Happened
it was.
last Saturday. Mm-hmm.
And so now they found the guy. He shot himself. It sounds like he shot himself in a storage facility. And so I've got some audio on this as well. We had two people dead. The guy's name, the suspect, Claudio Manuel Neves Valente. Is that how you're saying it, Joan?
Yes, perfect.
Apparently took himself out in a storage facility in New Hampshire. He was a former student from back in the year 2000, did not graduate. His target, he, of course, shot at Brown University, killed two people, and then injured others. I think there's about 9 people that were injured. He did go to the school way back when. Also, apparently, he is a lead suspect in the shooting of an MIT professor named Nuno Loureiro.
The nuclear physicist?
Yes, the nuclear physicist. They attended the same school in Portugal years ago, from 1995 to 2000. So he clearly, I mean, it seems to me like they had some sort of a relationship, and maybe he was out, don't know, just following the bouncing ball. But it sounds like maybe if he had a relationship with this MIT professor, that maybe he was settling some scores before he offed himself in the storage facility in New Hampshire. But there's a lot to this story. First of all, you know how they found him? Has this been part of your story, Joan? They found this guy thanks to apparently a Reddit thread. Somebody on a Reddit thread placed his car outside of the storage unit. And so the cops showed up. This was in the Daily Mail. Cops show up and they found him inside the storage unit where apparently, obviously, he was dead. There's been a lot of questions about the school, its policies, the investigation, the cameras. I mean, I'm watching all of this as I'm gone. And there are a couple of things. First of all, they didn't have a lot of cameras at the school. They had about 1,200 for a school this size. There's a lot of people that are saying that is nowhere near enough cameras for this size of school, their Brown University. That's number one. There was also the accusation, and I don't know if this turned out to be true or not. I'm sure Brian talked about it. The accusation that they had shut off the cameras because these pro-Palestinian liberal progressive organizations demanded that Brown University turn off the cameras so that they could, wreak their havoc on the campus without fear of being identified with the cameras. Now, I don't know if that was an accusation, but I don't know if that's been proven true or not. Do you know the latest on that, where they were being accused by some of shutting off the cameras, acquiescing, if you will, to the leftists? I don't know.
No, I had not heard that angle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was all over social media. But that's why I say, when I see these kind of rumors on social media,
yes.
I'm always hedging my bets. Like, this is what people are saying. I don't know if this is actually what's going on. But the thinking now, again, is that this guy, Valente, is the guy that obviously committed both crimes, the shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island, and also the murder in
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Listen here.
If the ballistics could have connected the two, I can't imagine that that wasn't done with great rapidity, that they didn't say pull the ballistics, pull the shells that were found at the scene in the MIT homicide and the shells and the live rounds that were found here. Do they match? Because once you got that, then you know it's the same perpetrator. They mustn't have matched because you can do that very quickly.
Yep, that's on Fox News. So, yeah, that is part of the question.
There was also something else that happened yesterday that Paul Morrow, that's who was speaking there. There was there were 40 spent shell casings, right? Because that he shot 40 times. One magazine is not going to hold that. But he also left behind an undetonated bullet. And that maybe because his gun misfired or was jammed, and so he re-racked, and it spits out,
a live round.
A live round, and they found one of those on the ground, and that's where they're getting the DNA part from, because obviously he had to put that bullet in the magazine himself.
Got it.
Yeah,
and have the wherewithal to do that barehanded to leave a fingerprint.
Yeah. So that was what Paul Morrow was reporting yesterday.
Yeah, and I've got a little bit more from him coming up on Fox News. Also, why didn't they interview more people quickly after the shooting? So we'll talk about that as well. It is 6:16. Time to check the roads on WTN. Very good. As far as your weather goes, mostly sunny today, cooler with a high of 45, warming up to 60 degrees with breezes on Saturday, partly cloudy and a high in the lower 50s for Sunday. So apparently now, and this all broke overnight, but we know the guy came from Portugal. The suspect came from Portugal, came to the U.S. in the year 2000 on a student visa, later became a lawful permanent resident after getting his green card through something called the diversity lottery. We've talked about this diversity lottery before. That has now been put on hold by Donald Trump. What is the diversity lottery? It is literally a lottery where the government would simply hold a lottery to see who would get these green cards from countries where we don't have a lot of immigration from. So this was meant to diversify the immigrant population. I'm glad that it's being put on hold. And I'm going to be honest with you, it should have been put on hold even before these murders, because we got enough immigration, folks. We got enough illegal immigration. We got enough immigration, and we got enough diversity. So that's number one. Number two, both Kristi Noem and President Trump putting that program on hold. I think that is really smart. Other questions? This school, and again, I don't know what anybody else has covered. I'm positive. I'm just retracing a little bit. But this school, oh my goodness gracious, it is so DEI ridden. Have you heard about the campus safety chief, Rodney Chapman, and about how this guy, he's black. He's also the personification of DEI because he was forced to resign from his last job in Utah because he didn't have the right credentials. So he gets bounced from this job in Utah, complete and utter disaster. And Brown hires him. Why? A lot of people are saying it's simply because he filled some quotas. He focuses on community policing, meaning that they prefer social workers over cops. He emphasized DEI over actually policing and having the right person for the job. It's all about skin color, quotas, gender, trans, and all that crap. 2 police unions, just months before the shooting, issued no confidence votes in him, citing, wait for it, toxic workplace, fear of retaliation, staffing issues as well, and he had also been investigated before. So my question would be, why was this guy still on the job? If you actually have police unions and cops and people that have been working for him talking about how he's got this toxic workplace culture and how this is what it's like to work with this guy, and Brown didn't do a damn thing. Why? Because probably either they were afraid to or they didn't want to because he was black. So why this guy was on the job is beyond me. The only thing I can see or say is that it was because he and the school, especially the school, so focused on DEI itself that they didn't want to let this guy go. Now, what about the cameras on campus? There's this accusation that video cameras had been turned off on the campus because, again, these pro-Palestinian groups demanded that they be turned off so that they could hold their anti-Israel rallies and riots without being identified. This particular building, though, they say it was an older building, and it was really on the edge of campus, and so they didn't actually have cameras in this building, in this part of the building, because, again, it was on the edge of campus, and it is an older building with an older infrastructure. So that's also part of the question. But, you know, they keep trying to run from the question about the cameras, and people are saying, listen, there's got to be a reason why you didn't have cameras in this particular area, and is that why he chose to attack in this particular area?
Well, I don't think we have said the locations of cameras at Brown. We have
there's no cameras in that building because why would they take it from a rental car agency?
We have 1,200 cameras at Brown.
But not in that building.
We have some in that building. It's a large complex. And I think what you would see is the video evidence in this case, from my perspective, I'm not a law enforcement agent, has been incredibly helpful. The moving of the person around the neighborhood, those video images, they help crack this case. So I think video was important.
Video played a big role in this case. The neighbor's video, the rental car video, but not the video from the building that he walked in freely both before when he got in the confrontation and when he came back in and decided to kill people. You didn't have cameras in that building. Just say it so we can get this over. And my next question is, will you put cameras in, will you put the cameras in the building?
Yeah.
Will what cameras in that building?
Yeah, you know, I think we need to look back. We'll look at everything that is done, but I do not think a lack of cameras in that building it had anything to do with what happened there.
So who knows? The investigation will continue. But, you know, this university is huge. Some experts have said that their 1,200 cameras isn't even close to enough. Others have said it is, so whatever. But they've got the accusation that these cameras have been pointed in the wrong direction, et cetera. But there is all of this pushback from these progressive groups because a letter did go out. I don't know if you remember this, but a letter did go out basically from these pro-Palestinian groups demanding that cameras be turned off at colleges and universities across America so that these, progressives and these students and these professional protesters could come in and run amok and they would not be on camera. So there's a lot to this story. And the Providence Police Department and the investigators, they do look a little Keystone Cops-ish. But the bottom line is, it does seem to me that the victim at MIT, there in Massachusetts, and the suspect, they must have had some sort of a relationship years ago because they did go to the same school in Portugal for roughly 5 years. So we'll keep you updated on that. It was breaking news overnight. The suspect in the Brown University shooting, Providence, Rhode Island, found dead, apparently by his own hand, in a storage unit in New Hampshire. It is 6:24. Joan's got the rest of the news coming up. Joan.
We'll tell you why a judge in Milwaukee is about to spend some time in jail herself. That's coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here. What do you get the person that has everything? How about the gift of self-improvement with my friends at Cont'd? Now, check this out. Right now, Cont'd, they are offering both their Tennessee famous Belly Buster Special and a facial to battle those fine lines, both for just $150. That is a huge savings. Now, both their Belly Buster Special and their facial treatments, powered by cutting-edge and effective red light technology, $150. That's it. This red light therapy, by the way, can help you lose inches across the middle and those fine lines on your face. Again, it is the gift of self-improvement for you or the one that you love. Now, right now, again, get both for $150. A belly buster treatment and a facial, a great deal, $150. First 10 callers right now, 615-236-9960. 615-236-9960 gets that special price of $150. Now, check him out online, contoursllc.com. As always, tell him Dan told you to reach out, contoursllc.com. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Loan Pronto. Listen, what if you could pull up to $500,000 in cash out of your home and your home's equity and drop your mortgage payment to 4.99% APR? That is a great rate. Well, right now you can do that with Loan Pronto. They've got the lowest rates in 3 years going on right now. You've got to call Loan Pronto. With Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan, you can get your cash in as little as 3 days, pay off all those high-interest credit cards, and even skip your next 2 house payments. Now, one client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off those high-debt loans, a couple of car loans as well, saved the $2,100 a month. One call, life changed with Loan Pronto. There is no wait, no hard credit pull up front. You probably won't even need an appraisal, just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. So with rates at that 3-year low, call them right now, 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780. Call them. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 615-499-5780. A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau, nearly 2,500 5-star reviews. Find them online anytime, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. On approved credit, visit nmlsconsumeraccess.org.
If the ballistics
Good morning. It is now 6:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. All that wind last night caused some damage for folks in Murfreesboro. The fire department there responding to multiple calls for downed power lines, trees blocking roadways, and even trees on some homes. Only minor injuries were reported.
Hands off Dugan! Hands off Dugan!
That's what it sounded like outside a courthouse in Milwaukee yesterday before Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan was convicted of obstructing federal immigration agents who had attempted to serve a warrant at a courthouse earlier this year. Judge Dugan was arrested after ushering an illegal immigrant and his lawyer through a back door. Dugan had already been suspended without pay. Now she faces 5 years in prison, too. 2026 is looking to be another challenging year in the job market, with unemployment right now sitting at its highest level since September of 2021. Staffing specialists have some advice for job hunters.
Flexibility is the watchword for recent graduates seeking their first job or seasoned workers looking for a change. Career site Resume Genius says mechanics, plumbers, and electricians are always in demand, with many of the jobs requiring not a diploma, but specialized training and certification.
ABC's Jim Ryan there. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are coming up. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here, 632 Nashville's Morning News. I want to tell you about my friends at DT McCall's. I've got, I think, 3 or 4 appliances from DT McCall's. This is a great Tennessee company. They are here for their fellow Tennesseans with great prices, selection, and value. And I've been telling you for years about these folks. They've been helping people out for generations. And if you need it, they've got it at DT McCall's. Indoor furniture. If you've got a room to fill, go to DT McCall's. If you need something that plugs in, check them out online or in person. Right there at the front page of their website, they've always got specials, great prices on all the best brands of appliances like washer and dryer sets, dishwashers, and a whole lot more. They've been at it for over 100 years with a focus on customer service. DT McCall's. And by the way, if you buy it, they are going to deliver it for free and haul away the old stuff. My house is filled with appliances from DT McCall's. They've got 5 locations across Middle Tennessee: Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Always online, dtmccalls.com.
Got some problems heading in this morning on 24 on the eastbound side in Cedar Hill, Tennessee. The roadway is shut down eastbound at Maxey Road, exit 19. There are 2 separate crashes in that area. Traffic has been stopped from Martin Luther King Parkway, exit 11 this morning. That's where you'll have to get off the highway. Again, it's 24 eastbound traffic getting off at exit 11. Got 2 separate accidents at Maxey Road. Portland, North Broadway at Woods Road. That's a crash scene this morning. If you're traveling on 24, the westbound side in Antioch. Looks like there is a crash at the off-ramp to Harding Place, exit 56, and part of the shoulder there is blocked off. You've got Gallatin Pike North and Rivergate. That is a mess this morning because of a crash as well at Myatt Drive. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Six 6:36, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, far as your weather, real quickly. Mostly sunny, cooler with a high of 45 today, warming up to 60 with breezes on Saturday, partly cloudy with a high in the low 50s for
you
Sunday.
said 60 today? Wow.
No, that's Saturday.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Come on, Joan, try to keep up.
I'm sorry. Whew. So much.
All right, so you know what I miss most about my 4 days off, Joan?
Staying in bed.
Joan Jones and her Lily White Christmas music selections, which is, I really miss those when I was on vacation.
You did not.
So today we are beginning the tradition yet again. So this is Joan's Christmas music bumper selection for this Friday. Go.
This makes me cry. And I think you know why. It's Mannheim Steamroller.
Okay.
And it's a song that Rush Limbaugh would play on his holiday message every year.
El Rushbo, the king.
Yeah.
The absolute king.
You know, as I was choosing today which song I would have played, I went back and I listened to his final message.
Gotta love Rush.
And I can't even talk because I'm going to cry.
Do you know what I'm going to do that I'm going to really make you cry? Do you know what I'm going to do in 2026? I've got a bit of a bucket list.
Okay.
I'm going to go see Rush Limbaugh's grave.
You are?
Yeah. Amy's got relatives kind of up that way. So if we get off whatever highway it is to go up to St. Louis, then we can go maybe an hour out of our way to go see Rush's grave. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get some flowers.
Yeah.
Because he truly was, with all due respect to Howard Stern, Rush Limbaugh was the king of all media.
Absolutely.
The original king of all media. All right, very good. Thank you, Joan.
Okay, I'm going to be over here crying. See you later.
You go right on ahead. Matthew Hurt, I seem to make all the women in my life cry.
Dan, that is not something to brag about this morning.
All right, so 6:38. You are in Phoenix, Arizona. You're at the Turning Point USA event. Is it AmFest?
AmFest, yes.
And I got to tell you, I played some of the audio in the 5 o'clock hour. So if you folks missed it, just go back and listen to the 5. Some great audio. Number one, just tell me what this is the first AmFest, of course, since the assassination, the murder of Charlie Kirk. So what's the mood there? You're talking about, and by the way, for people that don't know, all kinds of amazing conservative speakers and conservative groups are there, and it really is a celebration of conservative values.
Well, Dan, this is, for your listeners who don't know, I've been to conferences across the country for 16 years. I have represented organizations at conferences. My first one, I was on stage with Glenn Beck in 2010. And this is my first time at a Turning Point AmFest, working at Leadership Institute. Our campus team is here every year, but this is the largest single conference, conservative conference I've ever attended. Energy is high. The line to get your general admission ticket yesterday for about 3 hours in the afternoon was out the door. Speaking to the staff, they said there are 30,000 people who got tickets, and that ballroom was absolutely packed to the gills last night for Erica Kirk and Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson and Russell Brand. Energy is high, and people are, Charlie's tragic assassination a few months ago, this is energized and enthused young conservatives who are ready to go out and make a difference on college campuses.
All right, so I'm going to tell you, because I just looked up, and the fine folks at CNN put it this way. Turning Point Conference puts GOP infighting front and center. Now, I played audio earlier, and I don't want to redo the whole segment, of course, but there is audio earlier. I played it of Ben Shapiro, and he was going after, of course, Candace Owens. Apparently, he also went after Tucker Carlson. And so would you say that that is just a small part of the overall message, even though CNN is trying to make that a big part of the message of AmFest?
Well, what I would say, one of the Turning Point executives on Fox Nation yesterday in the media row said that this is the only conference where you're going to have a diversity of viewpoint and a diversity of ideas. Erica Kirk said it from the stage. Not every speaker you hear tonight is going to agree with each other. And I think that is a theme that I talk about when I talk about Republican politics and the conservative movement broadly. This is the only intellectual, philosophical, political movement that allows diversity of views. So did Ben Shapiro take some swipes at Tucker Carlson? Sure. Did Tucker Carlson say some things on stage last night that didn't get the applause he thought it would? Sure, but this is the only place that you're going to see something like that. And I think it is a net benefit to conservatives to have all of these views. And it certainly hasn't impacted the energy. I met yesterday probably hundreds, if not thousands, of students and activists I'd known for a long time, all of whom were very excited, and many of whom this was their first Turning Point conference. I think Erica said from the stage last night, 80% of attendees, this is the first time attending a Turning Point conference of any sort.
Well, I think that the reason why that is, and I predicted this earlier, months ago, of course, is that with the horrific tragedy that was the murder of Charlie Kirk, his message is not only more relevant than ever, but it has been amplified untold. I mean, a lot of people have been discovering Charlie Kirk for the first time, and I'd be willing to bet that you do have a lot of people who didn't really know much about Charlie Kirk until the assassination.
You're absolutely right. And the age range for attendees at this conference runs the gamut. What stood out to me yesterday is I saw so many 2- and 3-generation families. I saw moms and dads with young kids. I saw one mother pushing a stroller and looking for her mom in the ticket line. So 3 generations, lots and lots of people who are interested, who are curious, and just like what Charlie did on college campuses, going onto campuses and allowing for discourse and debate. That is happening here. There is a Change My Mind booth. I think Michael Knowles was at the booth yesterday. They've got great people like former delegate from Virginia, Nick Freitas, who is very articulate, going on and answering questions. There's an entire booth sponsored by Rumble where the speakers sit there and they just answer questions from attendees. It is absolutely inspiring and pretty exciting stuff. And I think you're absolutely right. A lot of people were curious, who was this Charlie Kirk? What is Turning Point? And they turned out to Phoenix, where it's a lot warmer than it is in Nashville.
Yes, it is. I want to play this audio from Erica Kirk. I love what she says. Listen.
We're going to ensure that President Trump has Congress for all 4 years. We are going to get my husband's friend, J.D. Vance, elected for 48 in the most resounding way possible.
You know, one of the things, and folks know that I'm a huge J.D. Vance fan, and I cannot wait to cast my vote for him if he indeed runs for office. But do you find that politically most people there at AmFest, do they all, by and large, agree that J.D. Vance should be at the top of the ticket in 2028?
I think that many people here do see J.D. Vance as an extension of President Trump's second term. I think you'd be if they had a straw poll, I think J.D. Vance would run away with it here. And for many people, you know, I grew up outside Nashville. I watched Hillbilly Elegy before the convention in 2024 in Milwaukee. And read the book. I think his story resonates with many people, and I think particularly for a lot of the young and older people here, J.D. Vance is that continuation of America First or Make America Great Again.
All right, it is 6:45. Joining us is Matthew Hurt, and going to check the roads real quick on WTN. 6:45 as far as your weather for today. Mostly sunny, cooler, high of 45. Warming up to 60 degrees with breezes on Saturday, partly cloudy, a high in the lower 50s for Sunday. Appreciate you being here on Super Talk 99.7 and Nashville's Morning News. Matthew Hurt is in Arizona at the Turning Point USA event, AmFest. And I got to tell you, I loved it when Erica Kirk talked about the expansion of the chapters all across America. Talk a little bit about Turning Point USA, and is there a feeling that they're going to be able to roll out all of these chapters, before the midterm elections? This is a very big bite. There's a lot to chew here with all of these different chapters that are opening up across America.
Well, shout out to the Turning Point chapter at Middle Tennessee State University. They are here. Tens of thousands of people have signed up over the last several months since Charlie Kirk's assassination to get more involved. And there are two kinds of Turning Point chapters. There are chapters on college campuses, and then there are Club America, which is for the high schools. I'm under the impression that Tennessee Republicans are fully invested in making sure there are Turning Point chapters on every college campus. But Turning Point has a robust operation to connect with these students. Let's say the request comes in. There's then somebody who is responsible for going out, making sure the chapter gets off the ground, recruiting new members. They often work hand in hand with the organization I work for, Leadership Institute, to provide training, practical political training on how to organize on campus and how to support candidates. Turning Point has its Turning Point Action arm, and that's the arm that goes out and does the political activity off campus. So many of those students who start a chapter or get involved in an existing chapter will then be funneled into volunteer operations, phone banking, door-to-door, and support for candidates across the country. So I think they have a very robust operation. There is no shortage of resources, and that's donor support or resources from other nonprofits that invest in building out infrastructure, training young people, and then mobilizing them to get involved in the political process.
So, Matthew, I've been off for like 4 days. And so while I was off, there is this story, speaking of Turning Point, that Turning Point was going to have making arrangements to have chapters in all the high schools across Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Governor Lee then came out and said that he was not aware of any formalized plan to do so. I've heard from my friends in the state legislature. They have also said, we're not exactly sure what's going on with that. And so I guess, is there a way for them to formally be able to bring these chapters into the high schools without involving state government? Like, I don't know how it all works.
Yeah, I'm not keen on involving elected officials in starting a political or an educational organization. But what happens is, and this has happened in Northern Virginia, there's a young man named Kellen in Loudoun County who has started a chapter, a year or two ago, and he spends a lot of his time reaching out to other high school students. So what you often see is organic connections, say at football games on Friday night, or when they go out to the movie theater, whatever young people are doing these days, I don't know. And so to build out that infrastructure, if high school students have reached out through the Turning Point website to say, hey, I want to start a chapter, it will be very easy in Tennessee or any other state to provide them the resources, and then to say, hey, find a conservative at a high school down the road or across town and get those off the ground. I do think many of these chapters will have elected officials, conservatives come and speak, and so that's where you find additional help from Republicans or conservatives. You've got, let's say you've got a state in Tennessee, and there's a high school with a Turning Point chapter. He or she may go out and speak to that, and that would help recruit. So I think there is an opportunity for conservative elected officials or politicians to help recruit. I don't know if there's any formal infrastructure, and that's okay.
All right, so let's just go to politics real quick. Of course, there was the story, I think it was yesterday, where the congressional Democrats are hemorrhaging support. And I've got the full story coming up after the news at 7. But bottom line is, when you saw that polling that shows that congressional Democrats, they're hated even within their own party. And so I know the lowest in like decades.
Yeah, absolutely. Lowest since Quinnipiac started asking the question in 2009, and many of your listeners know what happened in the 2010 election. An overwhelming majority of voters, but a majority of Democrats as well, do not approve Democrats in Congress. Yep. And I think that is an opportunity for Republicans. The polling, of course, we're still far out, but the polling is very encouraging for Republicans. If Democrats are disappointed, they're going to stay home, and if Republicans are enthusiastic, they're going to go vote, and that is the kind of combination you want to see in a midterm election, and especially some of these races. And as Democrats redistrict in some states and Republicans redistrict or fail to redistrict in others, these numbers are going to be very close in the House, and this is one factor. Republican enthusiasm, if that is high, that is good. Democrat enthusiasm and disappointment, if the enthusiasm is low and the disappointment is high, that is good for Republicans.
And I'll get into the full story after the news at 7. But bottom line is the Democrats, they were unhappy with how the government shutdown was resolved. Of course, we all remember that Democrats, some Democrats, a handful, came to the side of the Republicans, and that caused an internal civil war within the Democrat Party. Who do you think is more enthused? Is it the Republicans or the Democrats right now? I'm going to tell you how I feel real quick. Then I'll let you answer. I feel like the Republicans, we have the wind in our sails, especially with the inflation numbers that we talked about, that we found out yesterday. I feel like the wind is in our sails going into 2026.
You know, I think a month and a half ago, Democrats had enthusiasm on their side. I think that is shifting, and that just goes to show, Dan, and I talk about this all the time with you, the election is 11 months away, and that is forever away for the voter. And so on any of these issues, inflation, domestic policy, foreign policy, as people start to tune in, or as the factors on the ground change to the average voter, it changes enthusiasm, it changes disappointment, and it turns out a different kind of electorate. So it looks to be shifting in favor of Republicans, and that's good news now, but who knows in 10 months.
Yeah, I mean, still, 10 months is an eternity for the midterm elections, and so we'll have to see ultimately what happens. Do you feel like, part of the storyline has been this supposed waning of enthusiasm for conservative values amongst the younger voters because, of course, of the American dream? This doesn't seem possible for them coming out of college, and the college debt, AI, taking jobs, can't find a job, all of that stuff. Do you sense that is what's going on at the Turning Point event, where you do have some younger voters that are disengaged? Certainly not where you are now.
In all of the conversations I had with young people yesterday, enthusiasm is high. The challenge for Turning Point and for other conservative organizations and candidates and campaigns is to take the enthusiasm from an event like this and channel it into action. And so I think that is a tremendous opportunity. I think Erica Kirk laid out some of that last night, and I think it's a tremendous opportunity for Turning Point. And if any of this is on the table, but they have to take the next step after this conference.
All right, Matthew Hurt, always great to talk to you and have fun at the event. Have you been to In-N-Out here in Tennessee yet?
I saw the 5 lanes. A friend of mine is down there for a Christmas party and was in one of the lanes 2 nights ago. I'm not going to In-N-Out in the Nashville area, no.
And you call yourself an American. I'm just kidding. We'll talk to you again soon, and have a great weekend. It is 6:54 to Matthew Hurt. As always, appreciate it. We're not going to traffic. We're going to do the news tease now with Joan Jones. News, I'm like...
Way off today. So
Joan,
totally off.
Jane, Joan. I feel like...
John, will you tease the news already?
So when you've been gone for a while, is it hard for you to get back into the swing of things?
Oh, no. No, I get right back in.
Oh.
I have no problems.
All right. Fine. You could have thrown me a solid and said, yes, Dan, you feeling like a fish out of water, not really feeling like yourself?
It's just you, Dan. It's only you.
Thanks for that, Joan.
Sure.
All right. What's coming up?
It is deadline day for the Epstein files. Got a story on that also. People are beginning to wonder about Zoran Mamdani's choices for his government as he's about to take control in New York City. We've got a story about that coming up here at 7 o'clock as well on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 6:55 on Nashville's Morning News. And I know that one of Joan's favorite news personalities
Uh-oh.
besides, of course, Dan Mandis, is Harry Enton. I've got some great audio of Harry Enton talking about the Democrats circling the drain. That is coming up on Super Talk 99.7. Do you know who else we're going to talk to at 7:36, Joan?
Who's that?
EJ and Tony.
Oh, nice.
Do you remember EJ? So he was supposed to be the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yeah.
He got torpedoed by the left. He is back with the Heritage Foundation as their lead economist. We are going to talk to him at 7:35 about those great inflation numbers that we saw yesterday.
Their losses are gain.
That's absolutely right. So 6:56, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. Mark Spain Real Estate. Spend your time with those who matter most this holiday season and sell your home with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. No showings, no open houses, and no stress. Dan Mandis here. You know, I always recommend Mark Spain Real Estate to my friends in Nashville because I know they are going to sell your home hassle-free with an all-cash offer, a strong all-cash offer. As a matter of fact, with Mark Spain Real Estate, they sell over 4 homes every single hour, making them the most experienced real estate team in America. You can trust them to sell your home hassle-free and, yes, for maximum value. They've been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years, and they've served over 72,000 satisfied clients. That is why I proudly endorse Mark Spain Real Estate and the guaranteed offer. 855-299-SOLD is the phone number, 855-299-SOLD. Find them online anytime. It is markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing. Is here for my friends at Xfinity. What if more reliable didn't mean more expensive? You know, with Xfinity, you can get reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi for actually a lot less. Now, we're talking intelligent gig-speed Wi-Fi for only $50 a month. This holiday season through January 4th, Xfinity is offering their best price on gig-speed Wi-Fi guaranteed for 5 years. No contracts and no strings attached. You could save a total of $3,000 over Verizon and AT&T. Imagine getting super fast Wi-Fi at the same price for 5 years. Get everything you need from Xfinity. Their best Wi-Fi equipment and even unlimited data, all included, all at their absolute best price. Get ready to be wowed by your Wi-Fi. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply, requires paperless billing and auto-pay with stored bank account, taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet, powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary. Savings based on promo and promo-based price for 1 gig internet, 1 unlimited line, and Peacock Premium versus Verizon 1 gig internet and AT&T 1000 internet and 1 unlimited starter SL line.
7:02, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We've got 31 degrees, some clouds right now. We'll be at a sunny 44 later on. Stick around for the forecast coming up right after the news. In the news this morning, the deadline is today for the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. Here's ABC's Pierre Thomas.
The Justice Department facing a looming deadline, required by law to release all FBI and DOJ files into sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. With the clock ticking, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee revealing more photographs handed over by Epstein's estate.
Now, some of those pictures included Epstein's passport, a picture of him surrounded by young women, nothing revealing too much about his past. The gunman who killed 2 Brown University students has been found dead. He apparently committed suicide inside a storage unit in New Hampshire. 48-year-old Claudio Neves Valente was a Portuguese national who studied at Brown more than 20 years ago. He also attended the same university in Portugal at the same time as the MIT professor that was killed days later. A Reddit post is credited for tipping off police. It read, "The police need to look into a gray Nissan with Florida plates, plus possibly a rental. That was the car he was driving. It was parked in front of the little shack behind the Rhode Island Historical Society on Cook Street." While police scoured surveillance video, they were able to track that car to the storage unit. More on this story as the information unfolds today. Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti filing a lawsuit against the online gaming giant Roblox. Skrmetti alleges the company violates the Tennessee Consumer Protection Act by luring children into an environment it knows is dangerous, the lawsuit says, while promising that it's safe. Now, this is just one of 80 active lawsuits alleging that predators create fake profiles on Roblox to appear to be minors. And then they use the game's chat feature to offer virtual currency for explicit photos of kids. In its defense, Roblox claims that it has a zero-tolerance policy for the exploitation of minors. There's a deal in place to keep TikTok up and running in the U.S. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio.
TikTok has officially signed a deal to form a joint venture here in the U.S. Majority ownership will be controlled by a group of investors that includes the software giant Oracle and MGX, an artificial intelligence fund backed by the government of the United Arab Emirates.
And that deal expected to close in January. Trouble for Zohran Mamdani as his team is set to take over the governance of New York City. His newly named director of appointments resigned abruptly yesterday after some old social media posts surfaced. Catherine Almonte da Costa posted on her now deleted X account, referencing, quote, money-hungry Jews and rich Jewish peeps. She also called the train to Far Rockaway in New York the Jew train. She was unmasked by the Anti-Defamation League. DaCosta previously worked for former Mayor Bill de Blasio.
Do they not do any modicum, Joan, of research on who these people are?
No, I think she checked a box and he put her in there.
Oh,
That's
my
it.
goodness gracious.
Yeah.
That is a delicious story.
It is kind of a delicious story.
It is a
isn't
delicious. It's delish. All right. Thank you, Joan.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Market numbers right now. It's brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. It's a mix on the futures market with the Dow down 39, NASDAQ up 30, S&P gaining 1.5. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. So that accident in Cedar Hill on 24 eastbound is still there this morning. It's two separate crashes in the area before Maxey Road on 24 eastbound. So they're stopping traffic, making you get off at Martin Luther King Parkway, exit 11 to get around it. Also in Millersville, a crash involving injuries on Springfield Highway at Williamson Road. 40 eastbound Hadley Park at Jefferson Street, exit 207. Watch for a crash there. In Christiana, 24 westbound, there's a stalled vehicle. The off-ramp is partially blocked to Epps Mill Road because of it. And then in Antioch on westbound 24, a crash at the off-ramp to Harding Place, and the left shoulder of the off-ramp is blocked. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, 7:09, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into a Friday. Appreciate you listening. Always weird to come back from a vacation for like one day. But here I am. And I got to tell you, that alarm clock seemed really early this morning. But there's so much news to talk about this morning. And one of the things that we spoke about earlier was Donald Trump's speech that he gave earlier in the week. This speech I thought was interesting. And Sam and I and Joan, we all talked about it because a lot of people, including a lot of conservatives, decried the president's speech. You know, what the heck did we just watch? And why didn't the president really say anything? And I didn't really understand why it is that there was so much criticism of Donald Trump for this speech. Number one, he totally trolled the media by saying, oh, yeah, you know what? I'm going to, giving indications, hints that he was going to talk about going into Venezuela. And then it ultimately turned out to be a table setting heading into 2026 and the midterm elections. And I thought the president did a great job. A lot of people said that he didn't, again, including a lot of Republicans. That's all fine and well and good. We can all agree to disagree. But what did people say about Donald Trump's speech? And I'm going somewhere with this. Joan, what did people say about Trump's speech? He was angry. He was yelling.
He was yelling, yes.
He was angry. He was squinting.
Divisive.
He was divisive. I mean, all that stuff. He was blaming Joe Biden. Do you know one Barack Obama blamed George Bush for like 8 years? Remember that? So,
yeah.
I understand what people are saying. We are just about a year in with Donald Trump. And so you've got to, at some point, stop blaming Joe Biden. And I would agree with that. However, Biden, they told him to keep blaming Donald Trump for like 4 years, which is exactly what he did. When you talk about Obama, he blamed George Bush for like 8 years. And so I don't think that Donald Trump, I think that the damage that Joe Biden did to our country is frankly irreversible.
Come on, man.
Donald Trump is doing everything that he can do to reverse it, though, especially when we talk about immigration. All that to say, Harry Enton and the mainstream media, boy, they really had to choke on a couple of stories this week. Number one, they really had to choke on the story from yesterday with the inflation numbers that were lower than expected. We're going to talk about that with E.J. Antoni coming up. But one of our faves, Harry Enton, excitedly talking about, oh, no, not the demise of Donald Trump and the Republicans. It was the demise of the Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, Democrats in the minds of the American public are lower than the Dead Sea. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look. The net approval rating for Democrats in Congress, you said it, Kate Baldwin, the lowest ever. Look at this. Overall, they are 50 5 points underwater. Their approval rating is south of 20%. It's even worse when you look at independents. Look at this, negative 61 points. That means that their approval rating is 61 points lower than their disapproval rating. Quinnipiac has been polling this question for the better part of the 21st century. They have never found Democrats, at least those in Congress, in worse shape than they are right now.
One of the things that's out there today is that I guess, and I don't know, you see this, that the Democrats are not going to be releasing the results of their autopsy of the failure in the presidential election. You know, Joan, how they do this?
Yeah.
Where they go back and they look at what went right and essentially what went wrong. If you lost an election, they do an autopsy and they look and they figure out what happened. Well, they're not going to release the autopsy heading into or looking at the 2024 election. Now, we all know what happened. Joe Biden stuck around too long, and Kamala Harris was a disaster of a candidate. So a lot went wrong for the Democrats. I believe the reason why they're not going to release the autopsy is because it makes Kamala Harris look horrible. I think that's why, and she's thinking about running again, of course, in 2028. So I think there's a number of things that are going on right now with the Democrats. There's a number of things at play. The most important thing to note is that really low number among independents, down 61 points. Now, you all know that that is essentially where elections are won and lost with independents. Part of this, they say, is that the Democrats, they effectively lost the government shutdown battle. That is clear. They shut down the government so that the fraud in Medicaid could continue, so that illegal aliens could get health care benefits, and so that all of those people celebrating on Instagram and TikTok that they were getting freebies from the government, you know, all those people that had the EBT cards, and you look at their grocery baskets and they've got all of this food, and all of this food is crappy. And they're celebrating that they're able to get all of this food for free, courtesy of the American people. That had, in my opinion, a negative impact on the Democrats because they were the ones that were sticking up for the people that were fraudulently ripping off the government and the American people, in my opinion. Got the same damn thing with the Somalians going on right now in Minnesota. Don't even get me started on that. Because it's the Democrats that are allowing, Tim Walz, et cetera, the Somalians to rip off the government in Minnesota. It's the same thing. Every time you find the fraud, you see the Democrats ad nauseum. And I think that that is now having an impact on the Democrat Party, especially when it comes to the independents. It is 7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, it is going to be a nice day today. Basically, it's going to be a little cold, mostly sunny, cooler, high of 45, warming up to 60 with breezes on Saturday, partly cloudy with a high in the lower 50s for Sunday. Hope your inflatables made it through the wind and the rain last night. Holy mackerel. Mine did not. My inflatables, for those people asking on the super text line, my inflatables are deflated this morning. So hope yours at least were anchored to the ground. Wah, wah.
You sound so white.
I thought that my inflatables would be down the street and in the lake. But I walked out this morning. They were still anchored to the ground. They were, again, just deflated. Kind of like my mood this morning after 4 days off from work. But that's okay. I'm excited, though, because the Democrats are spiraling. What were we going to say, Sam?
I thought you intentionally structured your vacation that way.
Oh, no, there is no intention about it. They couldn't find anybody to fill in. Anyway, moving right along. So Brian Wilson coming up after the news at 9. More on the Democrats and how they are spiraling in the polls. And one of the things that I thought was interesting with Harry Enton, the discussion shifts as to how the party, the Democrat Party, sees itself.
Yeah, what about Democrats on Democrats? So part of the reason overall is so low is independents are driving it low. But that's not the only reason it's so low. What about Democrats on Democrats? Democrats' net approval rating of congressional Democrats. I want you to keep in mind, they had never rated Democrats negatively until this year. And right now, what are we talking about? We're talking about a net approval rating from Democrats. This is Democrats on Democrats. Their approval rating is actually lower than the disapproval rating, and that is quite the drop from October. I think during the shutdown, there was a bit of a boost for Democrats, right? There was a rallying around the flag effect going on. But Democrats did not like how that shutdown turned out. They have returned against Democrats in Congress. And you mentioned Dan Goldman in that intro. One of the reasons that Dan Goldman is in trouble right now in a potential primary against Brad Ladner is because at this point, the Democratic base is so upset with Democrats. So even if Democrats take back Congress, don't be surprised if Dan Goldman ain't there because of numbers like this one.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about from October to currently. In October, the Democrats, how they saw themselves up 22, currently -6. And you heard them talk about Dan Goldman. I have not so affectionately referred to Dan Goldman as like one of several, but he's one of the village idiots of the Democrats. He's by far one of the most vitriolic and vocal Democrats. He is out of New York. He's being primaried by a far more progressive candidate. And so I think the Democrats have a lot of battles going on internally. The progressives wanted to burn the government down, demanding those subsidies be extended. You remember that with Obamacare. We also know what happened. Some crossed over to the Republican side to get that continuing resolution passed. So that's part of what is going on within the Democrat Party. They couldn't agree on how to handle the government shutdown. But the trend is striking. Again, on the screen, you've got to go back to October. The Democrats were at plus 22. Now they're down 6. I mean, that is a huge fall. Also on the screen, you see that back in December of 2005 and 2017, when they were in Congress with a Republican president heading into the midterms, they had plus 10. Now that number is only plus 4. In other words, they're behind where they have been in the past under the same situation.
Look, Democrats are ahead, but they're only ahead by 4 points. Historically, that is quite weak. At this point in the 2017, 2018 cycle was more than double that at 10 points. The same back during George W. Bush's second term in office, where you saw, of course, the Democrats were also ahead by 10 points. So we're talking about a lead of less than half what we normally expect. And I think that's why, at this point, there are a lot of Democrats who might be thinking, hey, we can spike that ball in the end zone. But the numbers at this point say, hold on just a minute. Yes, you're on your way to a congressional majority, but it's still a long time. And with numbers like this, considerably weaker than historically speaking, it might be a tougher road to hoe. Democrats are hoping that Donald Trump's unpopularity can ride them to a congressional majority. But you know what? When you have numbers like this, hold the phone just a second.
Hold the phone. And, you know, I love how the Democrats are so into, Donald Trump's terrible, waning popularity. I have not seen the numbers lately on Trump, but I'd be willing to bet that, especially talking to Matthew Hurt earlier in the broadcast, where we were talking about how the Turning Point USA event in Arizona is going, I do believe that we've got a lot of good going on here within the Republican Party. I've got more because, there were some numbers that came out yesterday that, I don't know, interesting. I heard some folks out there that are usually critics of Donald Trump, not a word on the president yesterday when it comes to the economy. We'll talk about that straight ahead. 722 on Nashville's Morning News. By the way, you can watch us on all the socials, Facebook, YouTube, 997WTN.com if you want to watch the radio show. Always appreciate that. Listen to us on the radio or on any of the streaming apps as well. Joan's got the news coming up at 7:30. Joan.
Yeah, a little more info now about the suspect in the Brown University shooting. By the way, he has been found dead. Also, wait till you hear what the Department of Homeland Security has to say about the tour bus driver who caused a deadly crash in Putnam County last week. That's coming up here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
722, Nashville's Morning News. You know, the weather in Middle Tennessee, we found out last night, as a matter of fact. It can get crazy, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Supercenter. They are the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Get a free quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. The Generator Supercenter does feature expert installation, 24-hour monitoring as well. When the power is out in your neighborhood, your power is going to be on, thanks to the Generator Supercenter. Love these folks. Financing is available. They've got expert installation, 24-hour monitoring, 615-879-1952. As always, tell them Dan told you to reach out at 615-879-1952. Find them online anytime, GeneratorSupercenterofNashville.com. 728, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, are you a watcher of CNBC?
Oh, yeah.
You know this guy, Steve Leisman?
Yeah.
So this was, I know you've probably seen this, maybe you folks have seen this, but this was yesterday as CNBC's Steve, this was at the top of the Daily Mail, is reading live on air the better than expected numbers on inflation.
The number of the morning, the CPI, maybe coming in a little bit better than expected. 2.7%, a little light here. I'm just reading the headlines here. Year over year, 2.7. Ex-food and energy core, 2.6. So 0.4 off. That is a very good number here. And it really, I have not looked at the internals. I'll look at them now, but it suggests that the internals are good as well. Let's see, year over year, over the last 12 months. There is no month to month, but some guys will be able to calculate. Seasonally adjusted index for all items less food and energy rose.
So he's talking about how great the numbers are. This guy, Steve Leisman, it's especially, as we were talking about earlier, Joan, delicious.
Yeah.
Because he has been very critical of Donald Trump and his economic policies in the past.
He was so ready to give bad news.
Oh, he sure
in that
was.
moment. He was so ready.
He has said quite some time ago during Donald Trump and the tariffs, I'm going to risk my job. But when President Trump is doing what he is doing is insane. It is absolutely insane. There is just no other way to describe it. A month later, he compared Donald Trump's policies of tariffs to steering the Titanic towards the iceberg. And now he's having to read live on the air on CNBC. Never mind. By the way, one guy who has been spot on all of this is coming up next. EJ and Tony is going to be joining us here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The suspect in the mass shooting at Brown University has been found dead after having committed suicide inside a storage locker in New Hampshire. Now, the suspect is a Portuguese national who studied at Brown some 25 years ago and who also knew the professor who was murdered on Monday at MIT. ABC's Aaron Katersky on the trail that led police to that suspect.
They've been able to establish that he rented a hotel room in Boston in late November, rented a car in Boston on December 1st. That vehicle was seen near Brown University just before the shooting there. And that same car with a different license plate was seen near the home of the MIT professor the night he was shot dead.
Now, we don't have information on a motive just yet, and we will get more information after another press conference later today. There is new information about a crash on I-40 last week that claimed the life of a person and closed down the highway in Putnam County. This is a story of a tour bus driver that caused the accident, and that tour bus driver has now been charged with vehicular homicide. Channel 4's Alexandria Adams.
Investigators tell us the 54-year-old driver was on his phone at the time when he hit another vehicle, causing that crash involving several other vehicles.
Now, the Department of Homeland Security is saying that 54-year-old tour bus driver is a Chinese national who entered the U.S. illegally from Mexico in 2023 and was released with work papers and a Social Security card under the Biden administration. He was able to get a commercial driver's license because of that in the state of New York, despite not being able to read or speak English. The Trump administration is taking some new steps to end irreversible surgeries and puberty blockers for children.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. calls the surgeries and medicines sex-rejecting procedures.
Sex-rejecting procedures are neither safe nor effective treatment for children with gender dysphoria.
The impact of Kennedy's proposed moves could be wide-ranging. They're aimed at preventing nearly all U.S. hospitals which receive Medicare or Medicaid dollars from offering the procedures to children. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Did you hear Pramila Jayapal's absolutely unhinged rant on this?
Oh, no.
Oh, we're going to play it coming
please, do
up.
you have it?
We have it. I'm going to do it at 8:06.
Okay.
Because she just went absolutely insane on this. So we're going to talk about, because they'll call it, and I shouldn't blow my monologue in the 8, but, they'll call this anti-trans.
Yes.
I call this pro-children. I call this protecting children.
Yes, and they also call the surgeries gender-affirming care,
Yeah.
which is insane.
And I identify as an Apache attack helicopter.
Right.
All right. Coming up.
Yeah, that's the latest news. Hey, we've got a lot of problems in traffic, and that's coming up next here. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Dan, that is here for my friends at Stoltz Co. Now, this is a great Tennessee company. They do continue to grow and expand. Now, at Stoltz Co., you know what they do, right? They build pole barns. And that these pole barns can serve as a garage, an event space, an equestrian building, even barn dominiums. Yeah, you can live in these pole barns. And these days, those barn dominiums, they are new and improved. Stoltz Co. is now offering you turnkey options. That means that they handle the design, the construction, and the amazing finishing touches. You turn the key and you are home. So this is the place you want to go. Your new pole barn from Stoltz Co. can be used for anything. So if you have some land that needs a building for whatever you want, call my friends at Stoltz Co. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-622-5992. 615-622-5992. You can also find them on Instagram and Facebook to see examples of their incredible work around Middle Tennessee. StoltzCo.com.
All right, we have some problems this morning on the roadways, most especially on 24, the eastbound side in Cedar Hill, where they've got an accident right at Maxey Road. But it looks like they've opened up the roadway now. It's just still quite jammed in that area. At Millersville on Springfield Highway at Williamson Road, that's a crash scene too. On 40 westbound past Stewart's Ferry Pike, this is in Hermitage. You've got a crash. That's exit 219. Antioch on 24 westbound, the off-ramp to Harding Place. An accident takes out the part of the shoulder there. South Loop on 40 eastbound at I-65. There's a crash right at exit 210B there. And then once again in Hermitage, this one though on Old Hickory Boulevard at Dodson Chapel Road. Watch for a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:38. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, I can always feel the love on the YouTube chat.
Yeah, okay.
Fly Crazy Girl says this in the YouTube chat.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Sam, producer Sam, can you put EJ Antoni's face over Dan's on the chat? He is so handsome.
Wow. By he, she means EJ Antoni.
Yes, she
Okay.
wants EJ's face plastered over my face on the video.
Sorry,
on the video
Dan.
stream. EJ, thanks a lot. Could you, EJ, when you come on this show, you need to ugly yourself up, okay?
Yeah, I find this whole story very hard to believe that anyone would rather look at my mug, but whatever.
Well, I don't know. You're on Fox News, and I saw you yesterday talking about these great numbers, so let's get into it. Of course, lead economist for the Heritage Foundation, EJ Antoni, back here on the program. So let's talk about these numbers, because I think that this is on the heels of President Trump's speech the other night, where he basically was setting the table heading into 2026 and talking about the economy, where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Very next day, we get these great numbers. I think this bodes well. But talk about the lower numbers, the CPI numbers and the inflation numbers. Talk about how these numbers did beat the expectations.
Well, the very short answer here is things are getting better. That's good news. We're moving in the right direction. But at the same time, we're not quite there, quote unquote, yet. In other words, we're making a lot of really good progress this year in getting incomes back up and getting them to grow faster than prices. Earnings growth is outpacing inflation. Really, really good news.
We call those real wages, right? Real wages?
Exactly. And what we saw under Biden was real wages falling about 4%. So yeah, your paycheck got a lot bigger, and that was great news for the average American. But what that larger paycheck could buy actually fell about 4%. Now, conversely, real weekly earnings, or what the average American's weekly paycheck can actually buy, that's risen about 1.6% under President Trump, and that's really good news, especially considering it hasn't even been a full year yet. But not only does that tell us things were moving in the wrong direction and are now moving in the right direction, but it also tells us we haven't yet regained all that lost ground. For those playing along at home, 4% is bigger than 1.6%. So we're still in the hole, if you want to think of it that way. That means that, again, although you're better off than you were in January of 2025, you're still not quite back to where you were in January of 2021. And I think that's why people are still really upset about the economy. That's why they're very disapproving, if you will, of their current financial situations. So yes, inflation is down. Prices are rising much slower than they were under Biden. And now incomes are growing faster than those inflation rates. So that's all good news. But again, we're not quite there yet, if you will.
One of the things I always say, EJ, and people who listen to the show know that I always say, doing better, not quite there yet. There's still work to do. So talk a little bit about what work is left to do heading into 2026. I know that a lot of the policies in the big, beautiful bill, some of the tax policies, the tax breaks and the tax brackets and so forth, that is all going to start up in 2026. Talk about the impact of that on the economy.
Well, I think what the administration really needs to do is basically double down on what has been successful so far. So what does that look like? Well, DOGE has done a great job cutting government spending. That has reduced the amount that the government needs to borrow. We've seen actually pretty amazing progress on the deficit. It's still way too large, don't get me wrong. We should get the deficit all the way down to zero and then start running a surplus so we can pay down the debt eventually. But for the time being, at least, they are shrinking the deficit pretty dramatically. So that, again, that's a step in the right direction. Double down on that. Really just go full throttle with DOGE, cut as much as you can from the federal budget that way until Congress finally gets their act together and starts making some real meaningful cuts and starts enshrining those things into statute. At the same time, keep going with the pro-energy agenda. We're already seeing the results of that. Look at gas prices. My goodness. they have been able to make incredible progress on energy prices, and that's because we went from an anti-energy agenda to a pro-energy agenda. So keep going with that as well. Also, keep going with enforcing immigration law. That has reduced the number of illegal aliens in the country. It has taken pressure off the labor market and allowed literally millions of Americans to get jobs again. The number of native-born Americans with jobs is about 2.6 million higher now than it was a year ago. Meanwhile, what's happened to the employment level for foreign-born workers? It's flatlined. In fact, it's actually down slightly over the last 12 months. So the labor market is increasingly becoming a place where Americans can get hired and can get hired in the private sector. The number of federal payrolls, in other words, government workers, the bureaucrats, that has declined. It's declined like a 250,000 this year. That's absolutely fabulous news. And again, we need to keep going on all of these fronts because so far, all of these things are working. Keep going and you'll keep producing the positive results.
EJ and Tony is joining us here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. More with EJ coming up. 7:45, time to check the roads on WTN. Very good. As far as your weather for today, it's going to be, I think anyway, a nice day. Mostly sunny, cooler, high of 45. Warming up to 60 degrees with breezes on Saturday, partly cloudy with a high in the lower 50s for Sunday. EJ, a lot of people talk about Donald Trump and how he's been in office for a year, and so he shouldn't be going back and blaming, Joe Biden for the economy. And one of the things that I try to tell people is, yes, you talk about Donald Trump and how he's been doing from the day that he took the oath of office to how he's doing right now. But I also try to remind people, keep the perspective of what we went through with Joe Biden and the 9.1, 9.2% inflation, the really high prices and the high gasoline and so forth. I mean, that was a lot. And I don't know about you, but I've still got PTSD from Biden. And so part of what I try to tell people is think about how bad it could still be if Kamala Harris was the president. In other words, it takes some time to turn this ship around.
Well, it's exactly right. That's a beautiful articulation of what the problem is. Look, let's throw some numbers out there because I think that might help illustrate it. If let's take like a typical American family. You got two adults working. Let's say they both have average incomes, right? They're getting what the equivalent of the average weekly paycheck in America. Under Biden, prices rose so much faster than their income did that it was the equivalent of losing more than $4,300 in annual income. So it's as if they saw a massive pay cut. Now, what has happened under Trump, just like we were talking about earlier, incomes have risen so much faster than prices this year that it's as if that same family has seen an increase in their incomes of almost $1,700. Now, again, like we were saying before, that tells you two things. The first of which is we went from falling behind to making progress. But the second thing it tells you is that the $1,700 increase still has not made up for all of the $4,300 loss. You are still behind compared to January of 2021, coming up on 6 years ago when 5 years ago when Biden took office. And so you are still behind relative to about 5 years ago. That's why people still have that PTSD like you're talking about, because people still are not made whole, if you want to call it that.
One of the things, there's people that are still saddled with credit card debt because they had to put a lot of things on their credit cards. How big of a deal is it going to be if they end up lowering the interest rates?
It'll really, really help a lot of Americans dig out from the hole that they're in that you were just describing. I mean, racking up over $1 trillion in credit card debt in aggregate, that's a huge, huge problem. And we are still seeing, even to this day, people having to rely on these buy now, pay later schemes, which is really, really troubling to see for a whole host of reasons, not the least of which is because it's difficult to get exact data on those kinds of things. But basically, if you're going to dig out of that hole, you need two things. Number one, you need incomes to be growing faster than prices, so you have that extra income to pay down the debt. Check. We can check that box. We have that. But the second thing that would really, really help is the lower interest rates that you're talking about. Because let's say you have $100 a month extra to throw at your credit cards beyond like the minimum monthly payment. Well, if a large portion of the money going out is going just to pay the interest, then you're not going to make much progress paying down the principal. But you reduce that interest rate, especially if you can reduce it substantially, now your finance charges aren't that high. And much more of that same $100 can go to paying down the principal and reducing the amount you owe. And that's why we need real market interest rates to come down. But that's very different from the Fed's benchmark interest rate, what's called the Fed funds rate, moving up or down. What we saw, for example, about this time last year was the Fed reducing that benchmark interest rate, but real world interest rates didn't go down. They went up. The 30-year mortgage rate went up. The 10-year Treasury yield went up. So we need a new Fed chair, quite frankly, who understands that we don't just need the Fed's benchmark rate to come down. We need real world interest rates to come down. And those are two very different things.
President Trump the other night talked about the Warrior dividend, $1,776 going to members of the military. There's also been talk about the American people at large getting tariff dividends as well. Is there a worry that inserting all of this money into the economy would actually cause inflation to go up?
Well, what you want to do is you always want to align these things with pro-work incentives. In other words, what we saw under Biden when just literally anybody got a check, it didn't even matter if they were working or not. What does that do? Well, you basically created an incentive for not working because I'm getting this check whether I work or not. And what did that do? Well, it increased consumer spending without causing any increase in the amount of products and services available in the economy on which people could actually spend that money. It was inflationary. You had more money chasing the same amount of products and services. In fact, in some cases, it incentivized people to not work or work less, and therefore there were even fewer products and services available. Conversely, if you do something like let's say a tax rebate or a tax reduction on payrolls, in other words, your payroll taxes go down, that is a pro-work incentive. That causes people to go out and work more, produce more products and services in the economy. You now have the same amount of money chasing more products and services. So in other words, in the first case, you actually put upward pressure on inflation, and in the second case, you would put downward pressure on inflation. We would much rather see the latter, those pro-work incentives in the economy, as opposed to something where we just hand out cash. We unleash the cash cannons again on everybody, whether they're working or not.
Big question in our final minute. All right, so tariffs, always going to be a big debate. The tariff haters have been saying that it was going to be disastrous for our economy, but I just haven't seen that yet. We've seen some jobs come back, and we've seen a lot of investment come into America. Where are you at right now on President Trump's tariffs?
I think the administration has done a really good job with tweaking the tariff strategy over time. For example, they're getting rid of the tariffs on things that there's just no way we can make them here, things like coffee, things like bananas, because those are cases where the costs are going to be passed on to consumers. And so they're getting rid of those tariffs, and they're really concentrating on the more strategic ways to implement tariffs, including things like steel, like computer chips, where there's a national security interest, or where there's a way to subsidize domestic industries and have them compete with their overseas counterparts. So as time has gone on, I think the tariff strategy has gotten better, and I'm hoping that that's going to continue in 2026.
E.J. Antoni, as always, great to have you on, and we'll talk to you again soon. And just a wealth of knowledge. And again, appreciate you being with us. Have a great weekend. 7:53 on Super Talk 99.7. Jones got the news at 8. Joan.
He's not only good looking, but he's really smart.
Oh, whatever. You know what? Everybody actually agreed.
Yeah.
That, and listen, I will fully admit, I'm not the best looking guy in the world. I get it. E.J. Antoni is a young, smart, good-looking guy, I guess. Just ask Joan. But I think that people saying that we should put E.J. Antoni's face over mine during this segment,
it's just It's a little much.
I think that's going a little too far.
Right.
Frankly.
Maybe we should put his whole body instead. Dan, we just love you. Sorry.
Man, whatever. All right, what's coming up?
Changes to the visa program after the Brown University shooting. We've got that coming up here at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 W.
Hey, by the way, real quick, did you see Pamela Furr? So if you follow Pamela Furr, people are commenting on this, I guess, in the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
If you follow Pamela on Facebook, she posted a picture of me regarding some stuff from 10 years ago, but here's a picture of me with hair.
Oh, yes. I was a little surprised by the hair.
People were bashing me when I had hair because I didn't know, I've said this, I didn't know that I was going bald at the time.
Oh.
And so I actually did have kind of sort of like a comb over. I just didn't realize it at the time. And
like a Donald Trump kind of comb over thing?
I don't know what it was, to be perfectly honest, but me with hair, back before I shaved it all off, it just, honestly, somebody pointed out, and I actually agree with them, it looks like I took like a toupee and just a bad toupee and just, glued it onto my head. That's what it looks like.
My dad did that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So if you want to see me with hair from about 10 years ago, go check it out on Pamela Furr's Facebook page. Anyway, very good. You got through the teas?
Yeah, it's all done. It's all you, Dan.
I got nothing. So
okay, perfect.
What are we doing here? Glock store. Actually, turns out, Joan, I do have something. 7:55 on, by the way, coming up, Pramila Jayapal goes bat crap crazy defending these Democrats who believe that small children should be allowed to get these puberty blockers and these transition drugs. We're going to talk about that big news coming from the Trump administration after the news at 8 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here for the Glock store. Listen, if you are still in the hunt like I am, well, there is still a short amount of time left to get those great Christmas sale deals going on at the Glock store. Now, when we say deals, we really mean deals. We're talking about deals like $50 off their already rock bottom prices on your choice of red and green dot optics. Now, I've got a red optic. You want to talk about a game changer? I love my red dot optic. You will like those optics as well. There is a reason why these optics are the hottest things in handguns right now. And if you or the intended recipient really wants a red dot optic, but the Glock you own is one of the older ones, listen to this. The Glock store is going to cut their slide to the exact optic for $100 off the already low price. They do it in-house and in 10 days or less. This, my friends, is why I love the Glock store. Those are just two of the literally hundreds of incredible holiday bargains going on right now at the Glock store. That is the huge Christmas sale going on right now at the Glock store, glockstore.com. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. 7:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I love what Donald Trump and RFK Jr. did yesterday regarding trans surgeries and procedures for minors. We will talk about that, and also the absolutely unhinged reaction of the Democrats. It is, quite frankly, a lot of fun. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. By the way, do not forget, Brian Wilson is up after the news at 9, in for Chris Hand. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, now 8 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got a blocked roadway to tell you about this morning for commuters in Millersville. Springfield Highway at Williamson Road. There's a crash there, and the police have temporarily blocked that off. We'll keep you posted right after the news as well. We're learning more about the suspect in the attack at Brown University and the murder of an MIT professor. Officials now say one man, a Portuguese national named Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, was responsible for both shootings. He was later found dead, apparently having taken his own life in a storage unit in Salem, New Hampshire. Investigators say a tipster helped to break the case open. ABC's Aaron Katursky.
The tipster told police he saw the suspect inside a bathroom at Brown the day of the shooting, describing the man's clothing as inappropriate and inadequate for the weather and calling the man's skin weathered. Police said the suspect fired more than 40 rounds inside the engineering building. And 2 days later, investigators said the suspect's car was spotted in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Now, so far, investigators have not come up with a possible motive. Valente attended the same school in Portugal as that murdered MIT professor. He also attended Brown University for a time in the early 2000s. In the wake of the shooting, Kristi Noem has announced some changes to yet another visa program.
The Homeland Security Secretary announced that they are suspending the visa program that she says allowed the suspect to enter the country. It's a lottery program that grants 50,000 visas a year to individuals from underrepresented countries.
That's NBC's Hannah McLaughlin. Tributes are pouring in for NASCAR driver Greg Biffle. His small plane crashed in North Carolina yesterday, killing him and 6 others on board the airplane, including his family. The plane went down shortly after takeoff, about 10:15 yesterday morning. Now, the NTSB is investigating here. Biffle was an unsung hero after Hurricane Helene hit last year, using his personal helicopter to rescue the stranded and deliver food and water to others. He spoke about that effort with WSMV4.
Those kinds of moments, it's like, that's almost like winning the race. My willingness to jump in and help was just, who is going to go do it if I don't?
Now, Biffle was also active in supporting the Nashville Superspeedway's children's charities. Want to stave off dementia? Smear some cream cheese on your bagel this morning.
A new study links higher fat cheese and a lower risk of dementia. According to the study, those who consumed about a third of a cup or more of high-fat cheese daily had a lower overall risk of dementia. People who averaged about 1.5 tablespoons of high-fat cream also showed a lower dementia risk. Low-fat dairy showed no clear association. One hypothesis is that cheese is fermented, which produces compounds that may influence inflammation and blood vessels. Experts say further research is needed.
That's ABC's Dave Packer. Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. No big changes on the futures market. The Dow is down 10, NASDAQ futures plus 65, S&P futures are gaining 7. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. More problems on 24 eastbound this morning. It has been the trouble spot just past Springfield, Ashland City exit number 24. There's a crash reported, and traffic is pretty jammed up from exit 19 up to exit 24. Also, Millersville still blocked there on Springfield Highway at Williamson Road as police are dealing with a crash there. 2 crashes in Ashland City on Ashland City Highway east of Bobbitt Road, right in front of West Cheatham Elementary School. 2 crashes there. Good place to avoid if you can. 24 West in Trenton. You've got westbound closed. It's not closed, but there are 3 vehicles involved in an accident just before Clarksville, exit number 1, and Hermitage Old Hickory Boulevard at Dodson Chapel Road. Watch for another crash there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.807 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so we are choosing our own bumper music from now through Christmas. And Joan, you had yours at the 6 o'clock hour. I did mine in the 5. We will review when we do the cross with Brian. So now we come to Sam. Sam, what do you got?
21 Pilots, Christmas Saves the Year.
21 Pilots. Okay.
Snow falls down from the gray sky. Ashes fall in the sea.
See, Joan, I like this. Joan, thumbs up, thumbs down. You don't hear this kind of stuff on the Christmas music stations.
I give it the sideways thumb.
Sort of okay.
Wait for the hook, Joan.
Okay.
You might turn that thumb up.
I know they're a faithful group.
I like, though, Joan, how what he did is he's making us wait for the hook.
Yeah.
25, 35, 45, 60 seconds.
Eating into your show.
It's a good trick there, Sam. Since I always tell him, make sure you cue it up to the hook.
Yeah.
So that we don't spend an inordinate amount of time waiting for the hook.
Right.
Is this the hook? Please tell me this is the hook.
Oh, the hook was Christmas Saves the Year, but you were talking over it.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Sure, blame the victim, Sam. Whatever. Love it, Sam. Thank you very much.
I learned from the Democrats to victim blame.
There you go. That's exactly what you do.
Perfect.
All right, real quick. And you know what? If Brian is listening, if Brian wants to bring one in for his 8:30, I don't know when. Is Brian going to come in during at like 8:35 or when is he going to come? I don't even know.
You can text him. I'll text him.
Well, he said I'll see you at the cross, but I don't know if he means like 8:50 or 8:35.
Oh, yeah. He started
Are you sure he's not talking about the cross?
What?
That's a Jesus joke.
Oh, ha.
Okay. All right. RFK Jr. This was announced yesterday.
This morning, I signed a declaration. Sex-rejecting procedures are neither safe nor effective treatment for children with gender dysphoria.
Yep. So what he did is they're basically now saying that you cannot give children these kinds of hormone blockers, et cetera. This is the headline from the Associated Press. Trump administration moves to cut off transgender care for children. This makes a lot of sense. And actually, Joan, Sam said something really good, and it harkened back to what I said about the people that are like pro-Palestine, you know what I mean, and anti-Israel.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Where what I said during that whole time, where we had all of these people on the college campuses, anti-Semitic, Gaza, pro-Gaza, all that stuff, pro-Hamas. What I said was those people should be forced to watch all of the footage of maybe you folks remember this, of the horrifying attacks and what they did to innocent babies and women. And then see what they say. Well, the people like Pramila Jayapal and the Democrats and some Republicans who are for these kinds of procedures and surgeries for children under the age of 18, they should be forced to watch and listen to and speak to the people who have gone through these transitions and gone through these procedures at the age of 13, 14, 15, 16 years old and realized that this was not for them. But they've gone through these life-changing and body-altering procedures.
And they're irreversible.
And
I
they're
don't care what
irreversible.
anybody says. Because the left loves to say, oh, no, puberty blockers are bull stuff.
Bull-dermy.
Nah.
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services on Thursday unveiling a series of regulatory actions designed to block access to gender-affirming care for minors, building on broader Trump administration restrictions targeting transgender Americans. The sweeping proposals, the most significant moves this administration has taken so far to restrict the use of puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and surgical interventions for transgender children, include cutting off federal Medicaid and Medicare funding from hospitals that provide such services, et cetera, and so forth. I think this is great. You know what I would say? What took so long? That's one of the things that I would say, and I'm not, throwing stones, but I love this. The other thing that I like, and this is one more comment from RFK Jr., this is not medicine, it is malpractice. Sex-rejecting procedures rob children of their futures. You were telling me something off the air, Sam, about somebody who had gone through this. It sounded like it was horrifying. This was an instance, and I've interviewed some of these people, Chris certainly has as well, who have tried to, detransition or transition back to, their original gender and so forth. But you were telling me about a woman, or I don't know who it was or what the gender was, but somebody that was in a wheelchair and they were so disfigured and they had such a negative reaction to everything that this person had done to transition. And as you said, Joan, and as we've talked about, they'll never be able to go back.
Yeah. Well, it went viral for the wrong reasons. This poor woman with cerebral palsy fell into the gender ideology cult. And she went viral for having not just the top surgery, but whatever they call making a fake penis from the forearm of a woman. And so Shire Eichik got on Libs of TikTok and posted, as a reminder after this bill was passed, what we're trying to protect kids from, because her body was mangled. I mean, her arm was from the elbow to the wrist was just completely scarred up. And she's... Cerebral palsy obviously gives people, certain mannerisms and condition that they have to live with. And she's posing in her wheelchair and they're trying to say that she looks happy. And all I see is a tortured young woman that was manipulated by people.
And there's so many people, they are manipulated by the doctors. They're manipulated online. This sort of, I must be another gender and I need to transition. There's a lot of that goes on within social media and within, places like TikTok and so forth. And so they lead these kids astray, thinking that the answer to their psychological problems would be, you want to be happy, transition to the other gender and go through all of these surgeries, all of these puberty blockers. And the doctors and the activist groups, they go right along with it. And as we talked about with Vanderbilt years ago, there is a crap ton of money to be made in this. And so there's all kinds of different ways to speak about this. But it's horrifying the way that the Democrats are going through and reacting to what Trump and RFK Jr. Is doing. And we're going to talk about that coming up, because I think what outrages you says a lot about you. I've always said that. Pramila Jayapal has gone bat crap crazy ballistic over the Trump administration trying to save children. We're going to talk about that coming up. Must hear audio straight ahead at 8:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, mostly sunny today, cooler, a high of 45, warming up to 60 with breezes on Saturday, partly cloudy with a high in the lower 50s for Sunday. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. Without further ado, leftist, Democrat, progressive Pramila Jayapal. By the way, I have not heard this audio yet, Joan. It was recommended to me, so let's listen together to the insanity.
Colleagues across the aisle, so-called limited government people, suddenly want government to get in the way of the decisions that parents and their kids make together. Why do they want to stop children from getting medical care that has been proven to be safe and effective and helps them to live happily?
Safe and effective?
And that's why people are shooting up everything that they see with high-powered weapons as they approach their adulthood.
Yeah,
those
it's not safe and effective.
No,
it's
I don't
simply
think so.
not. I mean, and she talks about how, so parents and their children can be happy. There's many instances where they transition, and as I said previously, they transition and they realize that it has not made them happy. As a matter of fact, it's made their psychological problems worse. Oh, and guess what? They can no longer have children. And they realize that they were either going through a phase or whatever it is. So, and when she says this has been proven to work, I don't know where she gets that from. It has not been proven to work. This is more of the psychological manipulation of our children. Here's more from Pramila Jayapal.
Helps them to live, just live. Why is the majority attacking vulnerable trans kids and raising the level of fear and hatred towards them? We should be protecting every family's right to make the decisions that they need to make for their child's well-being. And let me tell you something. What is happening on this floor and in this Congress around this issue is so incredibly dangerous. Trans kids are walking around with mace in their pockets because they are being attacked by people because the majority is insisting there's something to fear from them.
So the only thing that I fear about trans people, and I'm air quoting this, the only thing that I fear of trans people is that they've been led astray and they've been led and manipulated down this road. By the way, over 18, do whatever the heck you want.
Right.
I don't care. But under 18 is where you've got to draw the line. And I understand that there is an argument to be made, Joan. I do understand this, where she says, I thought that Republicans were all about, emboldening parents and siding with parents and letting parents do the job of parenting. I get that. But when you see what's going on with these children and how these parents and the kids are being manipulated and they're being lied to and they're being, in my opinion, led astray by these the doctors and this culture within the medical community, this pro-trans culture within the medical community and the psychological community as well, the psychiatrists and psychologists and the medical practitioners. It is horrendous. And look, if you are 16 years old, 15 or 16 years old, and you're going down this road and you feel so positive this is what you want to do, well, then just wait another 2 years. That's all you've got to do. But allowing a kid to make these kinds of decisions when they're not even allowed to drink or drive, or don't we remember they're not even allowed to get a tattoo?
Right.
It's insanity.
We're talking about kids that, I mean, they don't know that you're still guiding them into what's right and wrong in life. And this notion that people, especially when I see moms, and unfortunately we have somebody in our family who's guiding their child toward this.
Yep.
I mean, it's very, very sad to watch. And it's just infuriating because you know that someday that person is going to turn back and say, wait a minute, this isn't everything that I thought it was going to be.
It's not everything that they were told.
Yeah.
No, you were sold a deed of goods that didn't exist. It's not like it's never going to come to fruition like today we talk about with the college education climate and the job market and all that kind of stuff. It's more so that it's an outright lie. It's not a hormone blocker. most of the time with the little boys, so you don't want them to start growing, pubic hair and whatnot. They put them on a cancer drug known as Lupron that's supposed to kill testicular cancer cells. You don't recover from that. It is not just life-altering in the sense of the permanent damage and the psychological ramifications of it. It completely blows past all the other precedents in society. When you're 16, your curfew's 10 o'clock if you have a license.
Yeah.
When you're 17, it goes to 11. When you're 18, guess what? No one cares anymore. It's up to you to be able to make the cognitive choice with your life and be responsible for your own decisions.
Sam, just listen to Pramila Jayapal.
And I will not stand.
Gentlewoman's time has expired. Thank you. Give the gentlewoman an additional minute. The gentlewoman is recognized for an additional minute.
She doesn't sound very gentle.
Oh, boy.
I wish somebody would I wish a conservative would stand up and say, if she's identifying as gentle, somebody might want to tell her she's not identifying very well.
I will not stand for these kinds of attacks. The condescension that is coming from the other side. Have you talked to your constituents? Do you really know? You don't really know what you're doing.
She got her hand on her hip now, Joan.
Oh, boy.
You know what that means when she's got the hand on her hip, man.
Yeah.
She's ready to go.
Excuse me. We are represented. We are here to represent our districts, and I still believe I'm the member that gets the most votes of any member of Congress anywhere in the country. So don't tell me I don't know how to represent my district. What you are doing today, what this majority is doing today, is making life dangerous for kids.
What an idiot.
So the narcissism at the end was going to get me to crack enough, but that last line, man.
You know what? And I guess this is, this little tirade of hers is going viral. If this is the kind of thing, and again, as I said, you are what you're outraged over. All Republicans are saying, all Donald Trump is saying, and RFK Jr., all they're saying is, yeah, listen, wait till you're 18. That's it. Just wait till you're 18. And so the fact that she's trying to say that they're protecting children when it is exactly the opposite.
They are the Roblox of society.
They are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're right, Joan. By the way, did you hear that the Tennessee is suing Roblox?
Yes.
I love that. I'm trying to get
Scrimetti?
Scrimetti. I'm
Good.
trying to get Jonathan Scrimetti on.
Good.
They need to get a hold of that streamer. Joan, you might remember his name, the one that they banned for exposing the predators.
Yeah.
Follow him on X. I'll find him.
Yeah, that dude is great. What he has been doing to talk about and expose what is going on Roblox. So it is 8:23. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jones got the news coming up at 8:30.
Yeah, we'll tell you why a judge is about to spend some time in prison. That story coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$8:24 Nashville's Morning News on WTN. D.T. McCall's. I was trying to think how many, maybe Amy can tell me. I think I've got 3 or 4 different appliances in my home, courtesy of my friends at D.T. McCall's. I was an endorser. I should say I was a customer before I was an endorser of D.T. McCall's. It's a great company. They are here for their fellow Tennesseans with great prices, selection, and value. I've been telling you for years about these folks. They've been helping people out for 4 generations. And if you need it, they've got it at DT McCall's. Indoor furniture. If you've got a room to fill, go to DT McCall's. If you need something that plugs in, go to DT McCall's. Typically, you go to their website, dtmccalls.com. Right at the front page of their website, they've got everything. They've got great specials and prices and all the best brands of appliances and furniture. They've been at it for over 100 years. With the focus on customer service. And if you buy it, they will deliver it for free. Haul away the old stuff as well. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee. Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Always online, dtmccalls.com. 8:25, Nashville's Morning News this month. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They are spreading holiday cheer with amazing deals and community giving as well. With Busy Bee, it is all about saving you money. And not a lot of companies these days are doing that, but Busy Bee makes it their priority. Now, one example, call Busy Bee, upgrade your water heater, and get a free 10-year parts warranty. If you've got a clogged main line, take advantage of Busy Bee's 93 or free offer. If they can't get your drains flowing, you pay nothing. That's right, the 93 or free offer going on right now at Busy Bee. If they can't get your drains flowing, you pay nothing. Great deals from a fantastic HVAC company, one of Tennessee's best. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, BusyBeeHVAC.com.
It is 8:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. All that wind last night caused some damage for folks in Murfreesboro. The fire department there responding to multiple calls for downed power lines, trees blocking roadways, and even trees on some homes. Only minor injuries, however, have been reported.
Hands off Dugan! Hands off Dugan!
That's what it sounded like outside a courthouse in Milwaukee yesterday before a circuit court judge, Hannah Dugan, was convicted of obstructing federal immigration agents who had attempted to serve a warrant at a courthouse earlier this year. Dugan was arrested after ushering an illegal immigrant and his lawyer through a back door. She had already been suspended without pay. Now she's facing 5 years in prison. Here's someone else who will spend time in prison. Jason Jerkins, a Franklin accountant who was sentenced to 9 years in prison for stealing millions of dollars from his clients and committing tax fraud. Jerkins was the owner of Jerkins Business Solutions. He pleaded guilty in July to preparing false tax returns and stealing client funds. He's been ordered to repay those clients about $4.5 million. The Christmas travel season officially kicks off today. The TSA says it is ready and fully staffed.
We have initiated a lot of new initiatives this year, which we're really excited about. Some of those being the family lanes, the military lanes, the shoes on policy.
Yeah, we like shoes on policy. That's TSA's Steve Lorenz. The FAA expects today to be the busiest in the skies with more than 51,000 planes taking off. Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stocks are trading now, and it looks like the Dow is starting up to 11. We've got the NASDAQ up 137. S&P is gaining 30 at the start here. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Sorry, I'm distracted.
It's you.
No, I'm distracted.
Okay.
I'm in trouble at home.
Again? What have you done now,
but you know
Dan?
what? I try to do something, Joan. Like everything, I get caught. Why do I even try to
What'd you do
put
now?
one over on the little woman? We'll talk about it. Because I think that there's a moral and ethical conversation that takes place over Christmas time. We'll talk about that coming up on Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis here. I've been telling you for years about United Structural Systems. Now, they are experts in waterproofing, concrete leveling, foundation repair as well. Yes, indeed, I was a customer before I was an endorser. This is an outstanding company, a great company. They've helped me several times with my home. That is why I proudly endorse United Structural Systems. Now, I'm one of 30,000 satisfied customers. You got to call them today if you've got problems with waterproofing, of course, crawl space waterproofing, basement wall stabilization, foundation repair as well. Now, they're not going to charge you for any unnecessary repairs, and you won't pay a dime until the work is done and you are a satisfied customer. They've been out to my house, I think, 2 or 3 times over the years. We guarantee our best. Call at USS 615-488-7855. Don't forget 30,000 satisfied customers, including yours truly. Find them online, USSTN.com.
Okay, more trouble on 24 eastbound. You've got an accident now involving 3 vehicles. This one is past Clarksville, Trenton, eastbound in Trenton. That's exit 1. What a mess there this morning. It's blocked on Springfield Highway still at Williamson Road because of a crash. That's in Millersville. In Woodbine, Thompson Lane east of Foster Avenue. That's a crash involving some injuries. 24 eastbound in Pleasant View, just past Springfield, Ashland City. That's another crash this morning. Woodmont Boulevard at Battlemont. There's an accident at Leland Lane. And then one more for you in Bordeaux, Clarksville Pike, north of Buena Vista Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, I like this. Is this Peanuts?
Sounds like it.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, okay. Very good. We are in the Christmas spirit here on WTN. You know who else is in the Christmas spirit?
Who?
Brian Wilson, because he didn't have to get out of bed so early. Hey, Brian.
Smart man.
It was luxurious not having to get up at 3 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, I got to tell you.
I did it a lot of years, but it's hard when you do it on a short-term basis, and all of a sudden, man, I got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. But I'm happy to be with you this morning.
You're filling in for Chris Hand.
Chris Hand coming up in just a little bit, right?
You know, I'm just reading about Greg Biffle. And Joan, you did a great job of talking about his charitable aspects. He did a lot of things for animals and his charitable efforts. I think you could dare say his charitable efforts within, NASCAR were legendary. He reminds me of Roberto Clemente, who, remember, Brian, I know you remember Roberto Clemente, who died in a plane crash trying to help earthquake victims in I think was it Nicaragua? I think, but I could be wrong. But I mean, Greg Biffle yesterday, of course, perishing in that horrible plane crash, and just reading up on a lot of the things that he stood for, and I do understand why so many people today are focused, not only on his NASCAR victories and so forth, but with all that he stood for from a charitable standpoint.
Using his own helicopter to rescue people in the mountains of North Carolina after Hurricane Helene.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. He
did. Taking food and water to others. Yeah, he was amazing.
And I'm just reading some of this stuff. The foundation, the Greg Biffle Foundation, provided grants to hundreds of humane societies, no-kill shelters, spay-neuter clinics across the U.S., also funding medical care, supplies, and operations. His foundation, listen to this, it was so widespread. His foundation supported over 750 organizations at its peak, produced annual NASCAR Pets calendars to raise funds as well. And, I mean, it's such a tragic story. His family and he, of course, and a couple of pilots perishing in that plane crash in North Carolina yesterday. Just horrible. You see the video and you hear the story, and it is just heartbreaking. And this was a big loss for the NASCAR community. So I didn't want the show to go, end without me talking a little bit about Greg Biffle. I'm going to be honest with you, and you folks know, I know nothing about NASCAR, but what I do know is good people. And Greg Biffle clearly,
he apparently was a really good guy. Yeah.
Good guy, and very charitable. And
y'all may have reported this morning. I didn't catch it, but I mean, there's a story out there that his wife texted from the plane that we are in trouble. So they had some idea something was going on before
she sent that
happened.
to her
How
mom.
tragic.
Yeah, she sent that to her
his
mom.
mom. Yeah.
It's so tragic and so heartbreaking. And there's nothing else to say about it other than he was a great guy, and it's just a horrible, horrible story, especially knowing they've got their children on board and knowing that there is something wrong. And so anyway, prayers go out to the NASCAR family and Greg Biffle's family as well, and the entire family. All right, Brian, what do you got going on today? I need some marital advice, Brian. I need some marital advice. Joan, you can help me too. Sam, too.
Yeah, well, first, I'm going to give you the first marital advice is you probably are not going to really warm yourself up to the missus if you refer to her as the little woman.
The little woman, yeah.
And by the way, last I checked, she's about an inch taller than you are. So.
Anyway.
Before putting shoes on.
So she's been gone for like 4 days, right? So, and by the way, I believe it's a little sus when my wife decides that she suddenly has to go out of town when I've got 4 days off. I was not a happy camper.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Riker ends up with the flu. So it has been a crap show for the last 4 days. But one thing, I accidentally... Can we air quote the word accidentally?
Yeah, I think we probably should in this case.
I accidentally happened to find some of my Christmas gifts.
No.
Oh, Dan, you did not.
Allegedly.
So I was so excited for one of my gifts that I went ahead, and I'm going to tell you what they are. You know what Uggs are, Joan?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So Uggs are like a shoe with like fur in it.
Total comfort.
Total comfort. So I've been wearing them around the house. I kid you not. I've been wearing them around the house for like 4 days. Now, my plan was to box them back up, including putting the little cardboard protective thingies.
Wait.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I understand this. You found your gift, and while your wife was away, you wore them around the house?
What?
And we're going to box them back up?
And put the little shoehorn things in there and the paper and the whole thing. That's what I was going to do.
Oh,
So I did the same thing when I was 11.
Yeah, when I was a kid, there was a certain period of time where I figured out that Santa Claus lived in the trunk of my mom's car. And that's where she hid all the Christmas
and
presents.
Suspiciously had mom's handwriting.
Back in the day, my mom used to go across the street to have coffee with the ladies, and so she would go across the street and I'd go grab her keys and find out what I was getting for Christmas. I never had, I think for years and years and years, there were no surprises as to what I was getting for Christmas.
So the investigative journalism habits developed young.
It started even then. I was a sneaky guy way back. That's right.
So I had every intention of covering my tracks.
Did she surprise you by coming home early or something?
No, but Brian, the mind is the first to go. Yeah, and I totally forgot. And so she comes home.
And you're wearing them.
And, I wasn't wearing them. I was, but I left them like right there by the. So here's the funny thing. I left them by the door so that I would remember to put them back. But instead, she walks in and she is greeted by the shoes that she is getting me for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, Dan.
So now I'm in the doghouse.
Yeah. Rightfully so.
And then I said, honey, I'll put them back now if you want me to. Don't bother.
You now have something in common with Tom Brady.
It's going to be a very cold Christmas there. Yeah.
Got to tell you. Anyway, but that's all fine, well and good. And I love my Uggs. There you go. Do you have a pair of Uggs, Joan?
I have fake Uggs.
Okay.
She has Fugs.
Brian, I know that you do have. I know that Brian does not have
there are
Uggs.
no Uggs in my house.
Sam, do you got Uggs?
No.
So, super texters, tell me this, because Amy and I actually got into a little kerfuffle yesterday.
Oh, no.
Not because of the fact that I snooped in and then ended up wearing my Uggs while she was gone, but she says you're supposed to wear socks with Uggs. And I don't know if I'm going to...
I think that defeats purpose of said Uggs.
That's what I said, Brian.
No.
But then she said, well, do you want the Uggs to smell?
That's it. Yep. See, your foot odor will transfer to that very soft, the fur that's inside of them.
Joan, I don't have foot odor.
Oh, yeah.
My
and I
feet
miss
smell
America.
my feet smell like roses.
Okay.
You're saying your feet don't stink. Okay, I got it.
It's exactly what I'm saying, Brian.
Apparently the bathroom doesn't either after you leave, then, eh?
Moving right along. All right, so
You know what my husband got me?
what's that?
Yesterday, you went to the Costco.
The Costco?
Yeah, you know, the Costco.
Yes.
And he said, do you need me to pick up anything? And our vacuum cleaner had just broken. I said, why don't you pick up another vacuum cleaner? He said, I did, and I put a bow on it for you. It'll be under the tree. What?
Oh, no. Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Break it out and get all the pine needles up.
You know, reasonable gifts at Christmas. I like the idea, but they generally don't go over very well. But Dan, I have a different policy about Christmas and birthdays.
Okay.
If I get I don't get many Christmas presents these days because, well, my mom and dad have passed on, and my sister and I just decided we don't really need anything, and so we decided not to exchange gifts. Although I'll be with her on Christmas Day. Down in Birmingham with her family and my niece. But if I get a present, I open it as soon as it comes in.
Do you really?
Why wait? I mean, I am an adult and I don't have to wait if I don't want to.
There you go, Brian.
I'm not a kid anymore. You can't make me wait till Christmas Day.
Now,
make me.
I may have waded into something that I didn't mean to wade into. People are telling me that Uggs are for women. Now,
and Tom Brady.
Can you? No, hold on.
I wasn't going to go there, Dan.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
They make Uggs for men, don't they? Because Amy didn't tell me that these are only for women.
Well, they make them for men, but are those men straight? Who knows?
Oh, dear Lord.
I've seen Harry Styles wear a dress. So,
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. Well, first of all, I think they do make Uggs for men, and they're in black, so that's a very manly color.
Oh, yeah.
In clothing.
Dan.
Whatever. All right, so Sam has given me a gift.
You are confident in your masculinity, though, so there's no problem.
Sure, Brian. I'm confident no one else is. Moving right along. All right, I thought that was funny. So Sam has actually given me a gift. He presented this to me, Brian, with the following statement, don't be mad. So I'm going to go ahead and open this on the air. He says he did this not only for the bit, but also because he wanted to get me something. I don't know what it is.
So I recall hearing that one of your favorite pastimes of things is a certain brand of... I start unwrapping. Come on. Certain brand of treat.
Oh, my goodness gracious. He is... Go ahead.
Comically large box of Hostess cupcakes.
All right.
Yeah,
Good
baby.
job.
Well, you should notice what's taped to the front of it first.
Taped to the front of it is... Oh. Can I say what it is?
Yeah.
I don't want to get arrested.
I bought them here.
Okay. He also got me some gummies. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to enjoy the chill
gummies,
of the pineapple rosin gummies, and then I'll have the munchies, and that's where the cupcakes come in. Okay, very
16
good.
count. There's over 2,000 calories in that box alone.
Very good.
Stay out of the hot tub when you do all this.
Oh, yeah. I was in the hot tub over there. I know Brian. Okay, so just so we're clear, Brian gets uncomfortable when I talk about me being in the hot tub.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I've never understood why.
He probably visualizes things.
There was that time. There was that time. Remember, Brian, when you were in mornings and I would do that 8:35 thing, and one of the big stories. Thank you, Sam. By the way, one of the big stories was that hot tubs were now going to be all over the city, on wheels, hot tubs on wheels.
Hot tubs on wheels, yeah.
And I wanted to do a whole big thing about how Nashville's morning news, and it would be, I forget, Chris Webber and Weaves and me and you, we could be in a hot tub and go all over Nashville as a big promotional thing. You got uncomfortable.
It's a horrible idea, and it's just a little uncomfortable, quite frankly. I prefer to be in my hot tub either with Cabana Wife or by myself, and I don't need a lot of other people in my hot tub.
I'm sorry that you have so many hang-ups, Brian, but it's cool. I'm totally kidding.
It would basically just be a pot of man soup rolling around.
Yeah, I do. No. It's just first of all, I wouldn't get into a hot tub that is used
somebody
by
else has used
countless numbers of people. Yeah. Oh, it's just like that's just a cauldron of bacteria. I'm not getting involved in
with
it. But
you.
I don't know. I haven't seen that thing in a while. Is it still around?
No, I don't think it's a deal. By the
There
way,
were probably lawsuits.
By the way, my Amazon driver is apparently a listener. As your Amazon delivery guy, you should be ashamed of yourself. Thank you, Amazon driver at 0589. By the way, you got? Are we doing Jones too?
Yeah. You know, Samta struck this morning.
Samta.
Very nice.
All right, so
Okay.
I got this. There's a nice little candle, apple cinnamon. Love.
Well,
in fact,
and you know, both of these gifts kind of go together. That's kind of my thought process.
I see.
So when you
Okay.
light the candle, you should pour yourself out a little splash
Oh, here we go. A little splash. It's very well wrapped.
in cherubim seraphim wrapping paper.
Nice.
Maker's
what is
Mark.
it?
Maker's Mark.
What is it?
Bourbon.
You bought bourbon?
Yeah.
I do like to enjoy a little splash on the rocks.
Do you know the worst Christmas fail I've ever done? I gave an alcoholic wine years ago.
To somebody who doesn't drink anymore?
Right.
Oh, geez.
That's awkward. Well, somebody gave me wine and I regifted it to her, and I had no idea that she was an alcoholic. So she opens this, and the great thing is this was like we're all like in a circle and we're exchanging gifts, and I, of course, gave her wine. She was a sophisticated kind of person. The awkward silence of when I gave her the wine, and finally somebody said, you know who it was? It was Dr. Laura. And now Dr. Laura's not the alcoholic. But it was when I was with Dr. Laura, there was somebody on the staff who was an alcoholic. So she's like, Dan, she's an alcoholic. Why would you give her wine? I said, I had no idea. I never, ever lived that down. Oh, it was so funny.
So I have a similar story, sort of similar. I went to Glenn Beck's house one Christmas, and he's an alcoholic as well. So, no bottles of wine. So we bought one of those rosemary plants. Did you ever see those for Christmas? Yeah, so we bought a rosemary plant. I thought it was a really cute gift for them. We bring it. They had already had rosemary plants all the way up the steps, like decorated and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, there goes my present. So
I think that Joan told that story just so that she could drop the name Glenn Beck.
I did.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. I was at Glenn Beck's house.
Made homemade hot chocolate that year. It was so good.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
What were we supposed to do? Oh, you want to do real quick our Christmas bumper musics?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've got one.
Did
for
you pick one? Good.
All right, so Brian, you go ahead and you go first, and then we're going to review ours.
All right. This is a little different. I have a lot of favorite Christmas songs, but I want you to hear this. I like Christmas surf music.
Oh, sure.
Oh.
And this is me.
This is you playing the...
This is me playing every instrument you hear.
Is that you playing the bass, or is that artificial intelligence?
No, I'm playing the bass. I'm playing, it's a drum machine. But other than that, the guitars and all of that's me. From a CD that I did years ago called Lump of Coal.
Lump of coal.
And then I get after it.
How many takes?
Oh, well, I don't do it the way the Nashville Cats do, where they go in and do it in one take.
Pro Tools is a great thing, isn't it, Brian?
This is hours and hours of me trying to get it right.
I like it, though. Turn it up, Sam. You know what, Brian? When I'm high on my gummies and eating the cupcakes, I'm going to listen to "Lump of Coal" by Brian Wilson.
He'll be attempting to surf in his hot tub.
This is like stoner music.
Yeah.
I'd put this up right there next to like Pink Floyd.
Yeah, well,
Dan will be out for another 4 days now.
Dude. I'll be taking my Uggs and slamming them on my head and said, I'm so stoned, like Jeff Spicoli. See how that whole thing went around? All right, whatever. 8:55, and we don't have time, I think, to review all of our other ones because we cannot miss spots or commercials. Brian, what do you got coming up?
I'm going to be doing a lot on the Epstein files, which apparently are going to be released today.
Yes, indeed.
A great article that I found saying how you should look at these files with some skepticism and some understanding of what might be in them, and we'll get into that.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. 8:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And Joan's got the news coming up, I guess, since we're waiting for something. Joan, what's coming up?
Zoran Mamdani's hires, another one of his hires for leadership at the government of New York City, is under fire. We'll tell you why. It's coming up here at 9 o'clock.